poop comes out of my butthole.
I can't argue with that. Yeah, okay.
They gotta make it sexy.
Recently, I've been, checking out incest porns.
They gotta make it sexy.
I'd bust my nut in the gym. Do you understand? Metaphorically.
They gotta make it sexy.
If I wash my ass, then it'll taste delicious. And then what's to stop 9/11 Dracula from coming to eat my ass? Ahaha, wink wink. I'm part of the secret organization. I don't want to be living in the year 3000 without a conspiracy theorist to make fun of on a consistent basis. Remember penises? Now we all have robo-genitals. Come on, be a part of the robots with us, okay? Tinfoil Tuesday. This is the Tinfoil Tuesday theme song.
What the fuck is this?
CC here, Chris, Westchester County. CGI bullshit. Bud Light bullshit.
I don't care.
We're all cats, motherfucker.
I'm actually a lizard person.
What rules?
Do not put pee in your nose!
You sons of bitches.
My poop comes out of my butthole.
I can't argue with that. Yeah, okay.
They gotta make it sexy.
Recently, I've been, checking out incest porns.
They gotta make it sexy.
I'd bust my nut in the gym. Do you understand? Metaphorically.
They gotta make it sexy.
If I wash my ass, then it'll taste delicious. And then what's to stop 9/11 Dracula from coming to eat my ass? Ahaha, wink wink. I'm part of the secret organization. I don't want to be living in the year 3000 without a conspiracy theorist to make fun of on a consistent basis. Remember penises? Now we all have robo-genitals. Come on, be a part of the robots with us, okay? Tinfoil Tuesday. This is the Tinfoil Tuesday theme song.
What the fuck is this?
CC here, Chris, Westchester County. CGI bullshit. Bud Light bullshit.
I don't care.
We're all cats, motherfucker.
I'm actually a lizard person.
What rules?
Do not put pee in your nose!
You sons of bitches.
My poop comes out of my butthole.
I can't argue with that. Yeah, okay.
They gotta make it sexy.
Recently, I've been, checking out incest porns.
They gotta make it sexy.
I'd bust my nut in the gym. Do you understand? Metaphorically.
They gotta make it sexy.
If I wash my ass, then it'll taste delicious. And then what's to stop 9/11 Dracula from coming to eat my ass? Ahaha, wink wink. I'm part of the secret organization. I don't want to be living in the year 3000 without a conspiracy theorist to make fun of on a consistent basis. Remember penises? Now we all have robo-genitals. Come on, be a part of the robots with us, okay?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tinfoil Tuesday. How are you all doing? Get your bingo cards ready, because you know we're playing today. If you missed last week, we have a brand new bingo card. It's been simplified. Then we added some spaces, got rid of some spaces that we weren't using prior. So it's all good. How's it going? Like my new tinfoil shades? Got them at a Party City. You know, the bankrupt company Party City that is also a meme stock. Also got this. It's a lovely tinfoil crown, which I will wear if we get to the appropriate level. If we get to level 5, we'll get the whole tinfoil outfit, including the tinfoil crown. Moira Soma, thank you for gifting a sub. We have some stuff to look at today. We'll include the glasses too, but I might have to take them off at some point because these are real sunglasses and it'll hurt my eyes if I wear them long enough indoors. But really, rule of cool is what we're here for, right? So that's fine. Let's see what I missed on the hype train so far. Phoenix Leftist, thank you for 15 months. Nope, nopey nope, thanks for 15. Mr. Whiskers, thanks for 100 bits. Lucas Dawn, thanks for 27 months. Says, I share a birthday with my third sub-baby. What's their name gonna be? Going to join Bond James Bond and the unnamed first sub-baby. Alright, this baby's name is going to be Odd Job? Odd Job. Odd Job's hat. Odd Job's hat specifically. Odd Job's hat. You like my top? Thank you! It's ModCloth, which is a website. That's a typo. Bimgo! Unstable Deadbeat, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Moira Soma, thanks for gifting a sub. Oh, and we're caught up. 3% to level 3. It's so good to see you guys. Well, kind of. I guess you're seeing me. It's good to hang out with you guys. I guess, again, I've said this before. This is so weird. It's like a parasocial thing back and forth, but to me, to you guys, at least I'm like an individual person. To me, you guys, well, obviously there are people specifically in chat that I know. You know, like Halloween Town. What about Bob? Oh, yeah, I'm not going to list y'all, because there's tons of people I individually recognize. But you also exist as sort of an amalgam, like the Borg in my mind. Like you're the Borg, but instead of being some sort of cold, totalitarian robo-race, you're just a bunch of furries in a trench coat. It's Ceci says, Bimgo is bingo bimbo. The new bingo card's a real slut. I know, I'm not slut shaming. I'm just saying, that new bingo card, pretty open to any options. Felt weird messaging me like you were bothering me and breaking the parasocial relationship. That's fine. I have my DMs, like, you can, on Twitter, which I don't use Twitter as much anymore because it's a shit show, but also on, like, Discord, I leave my DMs open. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not immediate. It does go through a filter and I have to look through my requests, but you can send me message requests. Don't get me wrong, don't just randomly be like, hi, wanna be my friend? Because I probably not. That's not... No, I don't think any real friendship has ever started well by someone being like, hey, I watch you on the internet, how are you? The closest thing is my wife, whom I love very much, but our relationship had very little to do with the fact that she had seen my show before, and more to do with us just getting to know each other in person. Anyway, if you have something, you know, that you either... Holy fucking shit! Okay. Hey, Purple Pondini. Wondered where you'd been hiding. Apparently it was in your gold mine. Jesus Christ, Purple Pondini pays forward your gift sub with 100 tier 1 subs. That's fucking nuts. We're at 46%. Oh, fuck. Chat, here's the thing. I like this shirt. I like this shirt, and it's already a tinfoil day. We don't have to go to level 10. We absolutely don't. And that's just me just saying. We don't have to. It'd be great if I could just wear this shirt. We just gotta last 4 minutes. We're fine, we're fine, we're fine. Thank you again, Purple Pondini, for all those goddamn subs. Who's your friend? Thanks for 36 months. Says it's a lovely shirt. Thank you. Thank you. Oh. I know, Purple Pondini. What do? How do? DM Trey with 5 tier 1 subs. Maps and Mimics gifting a sub. Terradona, thanks for gifting 2 subs. Bubble Homestead with 100 bits. We're only at almost level 9. It has to get to level 10, so we're like a whole level away. So we have 33% of level 9 and then 100% of level 10. So it's not happening. We're good. I just realized. For some reason in my head I thought it was like 77% to level 10. We're good. Anyway, how's everyone been? A couple days to Starfield. Pretty excited about that. Who's your friend? Thanks for gifting 10 tier 1 subs. You do have 77%, but it has to be 100% of level 10. That was 100% of level 9. We're still good. We're still good. Level 9 complete. I think that resets the clock, unfortunately, too. Yep. Oh, fuck. Mr. Whiskers says, are we good, though, chat? We are good. This is fine. 6% to level 10. You've shown just deeply how much you want to support the stream. Oblivion with 100 bits says, I'm doing my part. Wonder if Starfield will live up to the hype or not. No game really does, but I think it'll be a fun Bethesda game. That's all I'm looking for. I've played Skyrim for 10 years. If it's a game I can just fuck around in and have fun, that's all I'm looking for. I'm sure the mods will be cool too. So. Phoenix says, Gnome Pickles and I are dating now. Oh, good for you two. Creeper, thanks for gifting 10 tier 1 subs. Jesus Christ. Hydrate. You do love this shirt? Thank you. It's very nice. Let me see if I missed anything. Okay, I am caught up. Good. The shirt will soon be on the floor. Funny. Funny. Rageology, thanks for 21 months, says, I'm going to bed now, so I'm leaving the hype train cliffhanger. Looking forward to seeing the VOD of you in the maid outfit in the morning. We're good. We're good. Oh, God. Okay, what can we start with for the hype train? Since the hype train's, like, wrapping up anyway. So, like, let's let's do some TikToks while we wait. Halloween Town, it's fine. You don't have to discourage people. It is what it is. I set the rules. The rules are what they are. I abide by the rules that I have set. It's fine. So you just named your 3D printer dildo maker? I don't think PLA is body safe. Just so you know.
I wouldn't believe this if this wasn't a screenshot. And she
oh my god, it's a screenshot. No one ever lies and screenshots fake things on the internet.
showed it, because I looked for it. Now, in this screenshot, I have not seen no verifiable evidence to back up the claim of the things that are said in this.
Oh, so you're admitting that you have no verifiable evidence and you're just saying, look at this weird thing, and I'm gonna share it without checking if it's true or not. That's very responsible of you. 35% to level 10. Kurt Mulgrew with 100 bits.
A screenshot. But I'm glad she screenshot it, because people like receipts. Just know, I've never seen a hurricane form like that, with that type of lightning out of nowhere, like it had a...
How many hurricanes do you see? How many hurricanes do you investigate? Do you often look at hurricanes in depth? Because I kind of feel like you probably don't. So I don't know why you saying you've never seen a hurricane like this should mean anything to anyone?
Direct energy.
Oh god, this fucking direct energy weapon laser shit has gotten so big in the conspiracy community. They think they're being shot with lasers. Get Deformed with 100 bits says, I usually cover those toys for ease of use and cleaning. Fair enough. Doodly Doo, thanks for 16 months, says 16 months already. And Fennikagami says, yay, another maid day. We're not gonna make it. We're good. There's like 30 seconds left and we're not even halfway there. We're good. I'm safe.
Put into it or something. Like nuclear fusion or something was happening.
And what? Just, he eyeballed it and he's like, that's nuclear fusion. I know a lot about nuclear physics as a TikToker.
For it to turn to a category 5. Wow.
You can tell because of the way it is. Maps and Mimics with 75 bits says, do not 3D print dildos. The small ridges and valleys made by the layers will harbor so much bacteria. Print dildo molds for silicon casting instead. Skifazoa with 100 bits, thank you. Oh my god, I'm safe. Oh, it was so close. Oh god. I'm not gonna lie, chat. I was real worried there for a second. I legit thought I was gonna have to fucking wear that maid outfit. Oh god. I made it out of that one by the skin of my teeth. Jeesh. Better luck next time, chat. If you want to see me in a silly outfit, you'll have to get up pretty early in the morning. Now let me put on my silly tinfoil outfit instead of my silly booby outfit. By the way, I think the Halloween costume I'm gonna get, which people wanted it to be a surprise, so I will keep it a surprise. The Halloween costume I'm gonna get might get added to, like, the rotation of, like, when we do, like, level 10s, we will have multiple outfits, basically. We'll have the maid outfit, but also other things, and then we'll do a vote, and you guys can pick. That's how it's gonna work. Because I want to add some other outfits to the rotation, so it's not just the same thing over and over. They'll all be kind of cute, fun outfits, though, don't worry. MH Dark Beast says, Baja said I was being weird. I didn't mean to be weird, so I want to apologize for teasing you if it came off as weird. Take my bits an apology and time me out or ban me if needed. Sorry, Hannah. It's okay. Thanks for apologizing. What else? Where are my gloves? I need my horns as well. It's all... You'd think as a professional reptilian conspiracy debunker, I'd know where my supplies were. My protective gear. Where's my PPE? Where are horns? Well, I found the horns. There are horns. There's some. Ooh. How's that? Good? Cool. Just pointing out, you know what happened 18 years ago today that makes this guy an extra asshole? Oh, God. What happened 18 years ago? It's 2023 today. No, I don't know. You'll have to tell me.
Just listen to it real quick.
Okay, I was browsing through the Google looking for Hurricane Idalia updates, and I found something that I cannot explain, and I took a screenshot.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Of it because I know this shit tends to disappear like real quick, so I took a screenshot of it. I'm about to post this, and you tell me what you think, all right? Because I'm just look. You can pause to read. What the fuck is that?
Let's see. It says a Category 5 hurricane damaged 52,000 structures, nearly 20,000 of which were destroyed or severely damaged at 5 a.m. EDT Tuesday. Hurricane Idalia was about 370 miles, 600 kilometers southwest of Tampa, with maximum sustained winds of 75 miles per hour.
How serious is Hurricane Idalia?
Is this like an article that's a pre-written thing? Because I don't know if people know this. When news outlets know a story is going to happen, they'll write like a placeholder article, and then when the actual details come in, they'll like put in the real details, but they'll leave placeholder things. So I don't know if Google like somehow got that archived or what, if that's what is even being said here.
Category 5 hurricane damaged 52,000 structures, nearly 20,000 of which were destroyed or severely damaged. What in the actual fuck is that? I'm just saying, that's sketchy as fuck.
I don't understand what's sketchy about it. Was it before it I don't understand. Overthought says, just got enough service here in the UP to get this off. Looking your tinfoily best, I see. Hope everyone is having a good week. I hope you are too. Thanks, Overthought.
Now, if you're missing the point what she's trying to reference here, I would tell you why she thinks it's sketchy. Is it just a possibility that was a Freudian slip? Like,
oh, I'm sorry, what did you say? Freudian?
Of the story that hasn't happened yet? Because if you look it up, that's not a verifiable screenshot. It says it's a Category 3 right now, and that was the update in the last 10 hours. So, there could have been an early post or something. Who knows? But it does sound...
What even is this? He's just like, I don't know what it is. It's just weird. It's the fucking internet. Oh, God, I hate people. Fennikagami says, just got off the phone with my mom. She supports parents' choice in schools, and I was explaining some of the problems with that stance. She's work in progress, but thankfully agrees that in general public schools are good as our free school lunches, and that Republicans have lost their minds. I mean, that's good. That's good. And Tea with Goblin says a Freudian slip when you say one thing and you mean your mother.
So one of my ads got approved, but it wasn't the audition tape for Brains. That's the one I'm waiting for, the one that makes me nervous. But I can still do ads for like games. I'm gonna show you guys one of the ads I did. Tell me how I did. I just honest opinion. I want to hear if you think I did a good job, or it's crazy. I don't know, or I suck. Tell me if I fucking suck. I need great criticism, good or bad. I enjoy it all.
Did you ever think that your bad camera could save your life by checking the heart rate? I present to you.
Oh, the conspiracy theorist is doing really crappy mobile ads. That's an interesting choice.
You know, I just got off work and I had to make 3 videos, and 1 being information, 2 was attacking people, and 3 I'm going to tell you on how I feel it. And
sorry about that. Trying to move the fan further away so it's less audible to you guys in the recordings and stuff, but I am warm. I had to move it a little closer. MH Darkbeast says, it appears that someone else had the same reaction as you did the other day to Jordan Peterson's new suits. Oh yeah, I saw a ton of people making the same joke. It's the obvious joke to make, quite honestly. I almost felt bad posting it because I was like, even though I hadn't seen anyone yet say it, I was like, this has got to be a joke a million people have already told.
So, if the college wants to re-educate me, they're more than welcome to try.
We don't manage to somehow swallow our super criminal pride, I'm afraid we're going to be...
But if they think they're going to do it in secret, they've got another think coming.
We must hang together almost...
Found the article. Google is posting info about Hurricane Ian. Gotcha. There we go. So it pulled info from the wrong thing. It's almost like you should actually look into the things Google is feeding you instead of just assuming that the thing that is a summary it pulled is correct. Lance from the Surf said the same thing like 3 hours after you. Beat Lance. For once.
Surely we shall hang separately. Oh, and what a pity that would be.
I want to see Jordan Peterson as a Batman villain so bad. I think he'd do a good job.
Like I said, I like to connect with the people. And I need to know if I'm the only one who does. I'm not trying to instill fear, man. I'm telling you, I'm a little afraid. Keep it on it. Dead serious. Because this is what I'm seeing and feeling. And it drives me nuts that there's people out there that have no idea what's coming, that are going to be so blindsided. So if you are paying attention, you're blessed. If you are someone who happens to be with a conspiratorial friend, or you've been guided to information by this TikTok phone, and you're getting up to date some things, you're lucky. But if you're just one of those people that are on vacation and, you know, have no idea what's really going on.
Does he understand that this music makes him sound creepy? Like, this isn't just giving a general creepy vibe, this is making him sound creepy. This is music I would put on it to make fun of him.
You're watching Trump and Diamonds and that's it? You don't see the censorship experiencing? You know what the normal viewer doesn't know? They don't know what we go through as creators, well, me especially. I know what I can and cannot talk about. Yeah, I know. You know how I know? Because I know what they'll ban me for misinformation. And I'm not going to keep attempting to make misinformation videos, so therefore I get kicked off of here. And y'all don't know that. You have no idea how many videos some of these creators get knocked down. I can't mention nothing about the jabby jab. Nothing.
Yeah, don't be an anti-vaxxer weirdo.
I can't mention nothing about DEWs. Nothing.
Is that the laser weapons?
This is how real it is. The Lockheed Martin instructional video of that weapon got knocked down for misinformation.
Oh my god, because it was being used by you people improperly. Oh god, I hate these people. I hate them so much. Yeah, direct energy weapons. Okay, alright. Let's see what Chris has been up to. Doesn't everyone love that? Also, one sec, let me check something real quick. Peter messaged me. I want to see if he messaged me back. Let's see if he did. Not yet. He wants to get together soon. I assume he wants to try and promote his bullshit. Don't worry, I will not let him try and shove fake bullshit at you guys. At least not without pointing out why he's wrong. Okay. So Chris is upset because if you didn't hear, India landed a lander on the moon. I think one of the poles, they landed a lander and like a rover thing, which is really cool. Very awesome. Always happy to see scientific progress from any group of people in the world. Very cool. So flat earthers hate this, as you would imagine. South Pole, thank you. Flat earthers hate this because, of course, like all space things, it demonstrates that they are incorrect fundamentally about the shape of the Earth and cosmology in general. So let's see old man Chris whine about it, shall we? Oh, he looks angry.
Good morning.
I've not seen this yet. I wanted to watch this just cold to see.
Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be.
He's in the house.
CC here, Chris, from New York, Westchester County. It's 8/28, 2023, and I'm afraid we have a problem here.
I would imagine you have many problems.
Yeah, there are a lot of NPCs that live in my area that are totally fucking lost.
These goddamn people think the moon is real. Can you believe them?
Went out just the other day, just to try to wake some people up. And I was really disappointed, you know, and after all these years, after all the research that they could have done, you know, regarding Flat Earth, that they weren't able to do their homework. Because I felt like it was 2015. Or
Flat Earth, of course, on the bingo card.
I think it was about the time I got into it.
Does Chris understand that if you go around to people and just start trying to convince them of Flat Earth, then you sound like an unhinged person? Like you seem like someone who's like on the street trying to proselytize to people. The end is near. Like they're probably gonna think you have some sort of like issue and try and avoid you. People don't usually like to be just on the street like hey, wait a minute. You know how you're happy with your beliefs? I need to tell you something that's gonna fundamentally change your worldview. Doesn't everyone love to be just presented with this randomly in your day-to-day life?
No, actually, it wasn't 2015. I was a couple years late. 2016. Who the fuck cares? Doesn't make a difference. But it was like exactly like it was 2017. I figured at least now people would have done their homework.
Flat Earth peaked in 2017 and it's been downhill ever since in terms of engagement and stuff on the internet. It was a little blip and some people got on board and it's just been shrinking ever since.
You know, and researched it, that I can get into a conversation with somebody about Flat Earth. But no, once again, they're back. I don't know. Okay, the award, of course, has been given to India. Yeah.
The Got to the Moon Award? Yeah. The Luna! We should call it the Luna.
Yeah, with that.
And it'll be like a moon. It'll just be a moon. It should be a moon rock. You should get to pick as a country the moon rock that goes on your Luna statue.
Absolute pathetic
Thanks,
Atari
Chaotic
graphic show that they put on.
Atari graphics. Okay, so this is something, I have many videos pulled up about the India lunar lander thing, because a bunch of conspiracy theorists are freaking out about it. And one of the things that they point out and don't like is that part of the landing involved an animation. A pretty crude, but nonetheless functional 3D animation, right? Excuse me. I gotta wipe these glasses off. Is that a Steam achievement? Funny. They still do the trading cards. That was nice. Anyway, so there's this like 3D graphic because, of course, it's a thing on the moon. So there's a bit of a delay between the information coming in and the information going out. So they showed this graphic to show basically where it was in elevation and what was happening so you can understand it outside of the choppy video. And to be clear, there is video of this, which we'll watch in probably some of the other videos where people are upset about this. But they're focusing on this graphic specifically as if they're trying to say this is real video. At no point is this presented as if this is a live footage of a real thing. This is literally just a graphic to show you what's happening, basically. So saying that it's like video game graphics, which is funny you said Atari anyway. How old are you, Chris? Atari hasn't existed since the 80s, not the original Nolan Bushnell one. Anyway, also Atari couldn't do, I guess, a Jaguar. It could be a Jaguar, I guess. This could be an Atari Jaguar game, but I don't think Chris knows about the Atari Jaguar, so. Hydrate, I can do that.
For people to see, to think they are landing on some object up in space. And boy, does it look bad. Maybe I'll...
Chris, it's an animation! It's not supposed to look realistic
put a link in there or something like that, but it's so pathetic you haven't seen it, and you believe that, you're fucking...
Again, now I'll go to it. I'll see the footage. There literally is footage. Here's some. But
Off
again,
the back of that cartoon fest that we all witnessed the other day.
there's someone talking over it, of course.
Click that car. Look.
Oh,
Really?
there we go.
I've forwarded.
It's very choppy. Again, because of how live broadcast from the moon works.
As you can see,
you're limited by the speed of light.
I've forwarded this to nearly the end. This is so unpleasant.
So anyway, there's that, and then I think there's also a video when the rover actually gets off the lander, which is very cool.
One thing I pretty much noticed straight away is the design. You just pause it there. And the fact is quite a low wheel.
Oh, it absolutely still looks awesome. Just the fact that this is footage from the moon is cool, even though, of course, it's been decades since humans first went to the moon, and then, of course, later, like, landed on the moon, actually, as ourselves. Wait, no. Did we send, like, we didn't do a test lander first, because it was the space race, so we did an orbit of the moon, I think, and then we immediately went into the first, like, moon landing mission with Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, and, oh god, I always feel bad, don't tell me, the guy who was, I think he was Kevin Bacon in no wait, that's Apollo 13, the guy who was in the orbiter and didn't get to go down on the moon, what the heck is his name? Oh god, I always forget and I feel so bad. Okay, chat, you can tell me. You can tell me. I don't remember. Collins! God damn it, Michael Collins! I hate when I forget Michael Collins' name, because it feels like I'm feeding into some sort of insecurity that he might have had, and I don't know anything about Michael Collins as a person, but, like, I hope he wasn't a middle child. Can you imagine, like... the psychological damage it would take to be like, oh yeah, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, those guys who went to the moon, and you're Michael Collins and no one remembers you because you didn't actually step foot there, but you went the whole trip anyway? That's a shame. Anyway, no, the moon landing happened, and it's super fucking cool.
Base there. And another thing I noticed in relation to that design.
Oh my god, do you think... Flat Earthers probably don't know much about Starfield right now, but if Starfield actually does well and gets popular, I don't think it'll be Skyrim popular, because that was, like, crazy how popular Skyrim was. But if it is popular, are they going to make stupid videos about Starfield being, like, space propaganda?
Is that big crater that's a couple of, I don't know, 3-4 meters out?
What about it? Do you think the rover can't traverse that? It's a rover that they built to traverse the fucking moon. Anyway, back to the Chris video now that you've seen the footage.
And lost. Right here I have a prop. Yeah, that's my P1000 camera. Anybody can buy one of these things. It's an HD camera.
Yes, it's a camera, not a telescope, Chris.
Okay, that's what this is.
He's so dumb.
Any space agency should have something 10 times, 15 times, 20 times better than this.
They literally do, Chris. They literally do. You could get a, like, consumer telescope. You could go on Amazon and find, like, I'm not saying it's cheap. I get $200 isn't nothing. But, like, you could get a $200 telescope on Amazon or somewhere. Some libraries rent out telescopes. One Around Us, like, does that. So, like, there are ways you can get telescopes, Chris, and that's not even talking about, like, telescopes that actual space agencies and, like, universities who study these things have. The idea that you think that your random-ass camera somehow is better than multi-million-dollar equipment is so asinine, I don't even know where to start. Like, your idea of how the world functions is so foolish. I don't understand how you put your shirt on every day. Like, does your head not get stuck from trying to put it in the wrong armholes? Like, how do you function? How do you drive a car? Like, what are you doing? JP Black says, what Chris thinks NASA does for moon footage.
A is for apple, J is for
Look,
Jack.
free egg.
Damn yeah, for straight, for schism.
Try having omelets now, Denver.
Omeletoids.
Did you hear what I said, Denver? Or shall I turn it up for you?
I love the Moonites.
Hooked up to every fucking corner of that rocket.
Chris, there literally are cameras on the rocket. There are. It's just that broadcasting the full image in HD is difficult to do live because it's on the moon. Like, the way that we send things is through, like, the electromagnetic spectrum, right? We send things through, like, waves, right? So that's limited by, like, distance, because even though on Earth, yeah, signals travel real fast because, you know, they're effectively going at the speed of light. But when you're as far away as the moon, there's a little bit of a delay. Not a ton, not as much as the sun, which is more like 8 minutes. Like 8 light minutes. But, like, it's not the same as streaming something, like, from your house. It's not how this works.
Because when I look at the audience that are sitting there looking at the computer graphics with numbers and computer screens and all that other bullshit, they're rah-rah-rahing about a computer graphic from 1950.
The graphic is not for them as much as it is for lay people, you stupid, stupid man. The entire point, and this is something that frustrates me, because it really feels like they don't understand what's for them and what's for the scientists. So, when we're looking at stuff like this, they'll get mad about graphics and stuff. They'll be like, this graphic isn't real, and it's like, you're right. Because I don't know if you know this, the rover wasn't sent to the moon just to take pretty pictures, because there's only so much you can learn from literal pictures, though I'm sure they'll take plenty of pictures. Usually rovers like this have, like, scientific, like, devices on them, testing things for collecting samples and doing, like, basic tests of chemistry, or, like, the makeup of the actual thing, like spectrometer type stuff. That's information that the scientists are using. To you and me, it might seem dry looking at, like, data sets. Of course, to these scientists, this is their whole career, and they understand what these data sets mean and can make, like, understandings of them. Like, use that understandings to learn about the moon and space in general, right? The photos, the graphics, the photos that, like, NASA puts out that you people are constantly bitching about being fake are literally there to explain to lay people, oh, science is cool, look at this. But it's a little bit like, you know how in high school you learn about the model of an atom, and it's like, oh, there's a nucleus, and then there's just these electrons that are circling it, and they're all in these perfect circles, you know? But then you get older and you go to college and you find out, oh, well, that's not really true. It's a simplified model of explaining it basically for, you know, lay people and children. Here's the much more complicated thing. So when NASA or whoever puts out video that includes, you know, colorful graphics, photos of space that have maybe been, you know, a lot of the things that they scan with, like, the telescopes, if you actually looked at them just with the naked eye, you wouldn't see much, but they actually bring in colors from across the spectrum, so when you look at photos of, like, different nebulas and stuff that are so colorful, the kind that people often use as, like, desktop backgrounds or whatever, it's not necessarily like it would look like that in visual light, but it does look like that in terms of what the scientists are learning from the image. You know what I mean? So it's a simplified version of what the scientists are learning, dumbed down to lay people like me and you to be like, look, pretty colors, isn't space beautiful? And it is. It's just not all, you know, visual spectrum stuff. It frustrates me so much what these guys don't understand that they don't understand. Fenigami says part of the reason they don't understand what's for them and what's for scientists is they can't imagine that space is something so complex they aren't educated enough to understand. Fair point. Tucker White says, see, this is what happens when systematically underfund space stuff. You lose access to the fake moon landing set and have to hire the folks who did money for nothing.
Fucking 82.
You missed 45 minutes? Don't worry. It was the worst 45 minutes of the stream.
That's sad.
It's all uphill from here. I hope.
And that's your space.
I like that sometimes he just has to walk away. I don't know if he's trying to punctuate or if it's him trying to get distance. I don't know exactly what he's doing, but it is interesting when he's in his house and he does this.
And that's all you get.
This is Chris,
And
yes.
people believe this. Maui.
Oh no, there's been so much of the Hawaii stuff too, and I'm trying not to cover it too much because it's just all over the place. But goddamn, it hurts when they try and make up bullshit stories about actual tragedies. And this is going to get so much worse because we all know that we're having terrible, terrible times with the effects of climate change. And again, this is as good as it's going to get. Like, it's only going to get worse for decades and decades and decades and probably for the rest of our life. Even if we stopped using fossil fuels entirely today, it would still take probably beyond our lifetimes to repair things. Not a doomer, by the way. I don't necessarily think we're going to go extinct, but this is a huge problem that we have caused and we will need to try and find solutions to. Anyway, as we see more and more of these natural disasters happen, inevitably, this is also going to unfortunately displace many people in areas of the world that are going to become even more inhospitable as temperatures rise. Sea levels also are going to rise with them in coastal cities, coastal places anywhere on the planet. And a lot of people are going to be displaced. As we all know, fasci-type people, especially those who are into conspiracies, are xenophobic and don't really like people from other countries, especially those that don't look like them. And I'm sure they're going to come up with all sorts of ridiculous conspiracy theories when these things happen. The world is devastated, populations are forced to disperse, and there's a huge worldwide diaspora of people who are climate refugees. They're going to come up with all sorts of conspiracy theories to be like, no, it's the one world order, you know, forcing immigration into blah, 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 blah. It's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be an absolute nightmare. All I'm saying is my job is secure, basically. We're not running out of conspiracy theorists anytime soon. The worse things get and the more anxious people are, the more they're susceptible to conspiracy theories, so... Tucker White says, also, fuck you, Hannah, for raising the bits minimum again. What happened to the good old days when 1 bit was all you needed? Well, unfortunately, I'm a victim of my own success, and if it was set to 1 bit, we would never get to anything on the stream, which is already tenuous with how long-winded I can be. So, I really am sorry, though. I did up it to 75. That might be a little high. I don't know, but, like, I think it's helped the flow of the stream. Get Deformed says there's a website to help assess your risks due to climate change. I'm actually going to look this up. Obviously, I'm going to not put this on screen so you can't see, you know, personal information, but I am pretty curious. Let's see. Boop 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 boop. Oh, I'm good. Like, it's not great, but I'm just gonna be honest. I'm pretty lucky. I think from what I've seen, don't get me wrong, it's not gonna be fun for everyone. Make it 250 is too low. 50, I don't know. 75 is good. We can talk about this another time, chat. Anyway, Michigan is actually not a bad place to be in terms of climate change. We're surrounded on 3 of the 4 sides by Great Lakes. We have a huge source of fresh water, although we have agreements. The Great Lakes Compact is a pretty big thing that's taken very seriously. But in terms of the effects of climate change, Michigan is a relatively safe place to be. And also, luckily, as of right now, we're a blue state. So if you're thinking about moving, and you're thinking about the coming decades, and you're looking for a place that might politically align with you and maybe be relatively safe, think about Michigan. I know that's not an option for most people to be able to just move, but if you are already moving and you have the ability, consider it. Juggle and a hydrate. I can do them both, but not at the same time.
I don't know how to tiptoe around this, but I don't know anyone.
Alabama on the coast, you're hosed. Ooh, that's not good.
But yeah.
At least you're not Florida, although there's gonna be a Florida diaspora, so Florida man's gonna spread around the country. Yikes.
Out there in Hawaii.
Or maybe, alternatively, it'll be like that Futurama episode, but instead of Atlanta disappearing, the entirety of Florida will become a city like Atlantis or Lumeria, and the denizens of Florida will become mer people. King Triton can live in the Magic Kingdom castle. Okay, I'm down. Ooh, Ron DeSantis can be Ursula the Sea Witch.
There was a comrade out there that I knew of, but he's passed. That was in Hawaii, but all of a sudden, every Hawaiian resident who've had their houses destroyed, the realtors are calling them up on the phone and suspiciously asking them, "Are you selling your land?"
Is that really suspicious to know that, like, vulture capitalist pieces of shits are taking advantage of a tragedy? Like, that's literally how our system works, Chris. If someone thinks they can make money off of your tragedy, they will do so. I'm not saying everyone will do this, but there will always be people out there within this system because it incentivizes people to be predatory. It's not a conspiracy. It's just how capitalism works. So if you don't want to live under an economic system in which people are taken advantage of in terrible situations, maybe you should think about the way the world functions and why it does, instead of getting lost in the woods about the shape of the goddamn earth. Discordant Vol says again, Alabama, I won't even exceed the chud background radiation. Oof. Garatz, thanks for 13 months, says, don't worry, Hannah, the nuclear winter will counter it. Ugh.
So that's what the government does. They destroy.
How many channel points to get me to drink water and juggle at the same time? The thing is, it's not even that I couldn't. Like, I can do things and juggle at the same time. Like, I can talk and do it. I can multitask. That's not the problem. The problem is, how do I hold it at the same time? I can try. Hold on. But, like, how do I... I can kind of do it. I would need a bigger straw to do it easier, though.
Destroy things beyond belief, and they sell the land off. And then somebody comes along and buys it for a very cheap price. They've been doing this for a long time. You have to understand this. This is nothing new. You have cars that are parked in a parking lot where there's no other fires around at all. The grass is still growing on the other side of the street.
Chris, yes, fire isn't all-encompassing. It requires a medium to travel through and oxygen to fuel it. If there is not a direct path from one area to another, then fire can burn over here and not over here. How much for Baja to baby bird the water while you juggle? You know, I think she would do it for free, but I don't think we need to do it right now.
And this car, which is made out of aluminum and
yes, cars have gasoline in them also. So if the gas tank ignites, you know how gas works.
Plastic and other bullshit that they're putting into the cars has melted. Melted to a point where there's a...
Chris, again, it's like you think fire is magic.
A river of aluminum going down the sidewalk. You know,
why do you think it's a river of aluminum? Are you basing it on pictures? You're like, that's aluminum. Also, what's the melting point of aluminum versus whatever plastics you're talking about? Like, I would imagine there are plastics that are, like, heat resistant. Aluminum, I know, has a relatively low melting point as far as, like, metals go. Robert also says this. But again, what are you even basing this on? You saw something, you're like, that's liquid aluminum.
Aluminum, I believe, burns at 1200 degrees, and that's a grass fire.
Burns or melts? Burning and melting are different things, Chris.
A grass fire creates a 1200 degree temperature.
A giant wildfire fueled by extra oxygen from a hurricane storm? Yeah, maybe.
That really is. Out of nowhere. I watched some of the videos.
Again, though, yes, gas tank. The gas burned. The gas burned too, Chris. Tea with Goblin says CC being tricked by aluminum conspiracies foiled again.
You know, so these high winds, and it looked like a hurricane was coming through or something.
Literally, Chris, are you unfamiliar with the storm that exacerbated the fires? That's part of the reason it was so bad.
In Maui.
Discordant Vol says the little-known thermodynamic phenomena of pyrophoric induction.
Surrounded by water.
Yes, it's an island! Do you think that islands are not susceptible to fires, you stupid ass?
In one of the wetlands of America.
Do you think an island is wetlands because there's water around it? What do you think wetlands are? I wanna die. First name, bunch of numbers. Let's see. As often is the case with conspiracy theorists, and CC in particular, so close to figuring out that capitalism is the problem, and yet so far. Also, capitalism is the problem on the bingo card.
Burnt up. Like a matchstick. Because of what? Global.
Fire. Fire? Fire. Discordant Vol says they're surrounded by water, though. Fire's a natural predator.
Global warming. Oh, well, that's what they're pushing. That's what this will be.
Chris, literally, yes, global warming caused by humans is real. This has been known for decades, if not longer. I've seen articles from old early 1900s newspapers talking about people theorizing that this was going to happen. The centuries of pumping greenhouse gases into the atmosphere was an understandable thing. People were like, this is not going to go well because we understand how this is going to work. And people didn't do anything about it. And then eventually people started noticing a raise in the temperature year over year. And then people were still like, don't worry about it. And then fossil fuel companies started lobbying as if they're the fucking cigarette companies in the 60s trying to tell you that your cigarettes don't cause cancer. And then you get people in media, idiots like fucking Matt and Trey on South Park doing their man-bear pig shit. The false equivalence between these stances of like, climate change is real and it's not is insane. This false, like, both sides has been going on for decades. We knew for sure before I was even born that this was a fucking problem. And the fact that there's still people like Chris who are just obstinately like, no, I know better because I'm a man and I drive a fucking truck and Fox News don't tell me that global warming's real. I don't think you should be allowed to fucking rent a car. Like, I fundamentally do not think at this point, if you don't think climate change is real, that you're responsible enough to operate heavy machinery. Anyway, Tea with Goblin says Hannah goes past exasperation and straight to dolphin mode. I was just swearing, but in SpongeBob.
Administration is pushing. You know why? Because it's putting money in their pocket. Yeah, that's right.
It's funny how you bring up the cigarette thing, since Matt and Trey had a whole episode of South Park about how smoking wasn't all that bad. Oh my god, they did! They did a whole episode where, like, Rob Reiner was a bad guy, because I guess in real life... Ooh, this tiara makes me a little sweaty, sorry about that. Rob Reiner is, like, you know, I guess in real life campaigned against, you know, being able to smoke in public, being able to smoke in, like, bars and stuff, and restaurants, which is good! But Matt and Trey are consummate, libertarian assholes, if you've ever watched South Park and really sat down and watched it, the one through line for all of Trey and Matt's politics, at least when I watched, I stopped watching about, I think after the season where Mr. Garrison got elected and was Trump, I was like, I'm fucking done. This is garbage. Matt and Trey's one through line is that nothing matters, and if you try and make me care about anything, I hate you. Literally, sure, they think Republicans and conservatives are stupid, maybe. But also, I think they hate the left more for making them care about things like climate change and, hey, maybe don't be shitty and anti-Semitic, and maybe recognize, like, hey, the way that you're treating trans people and gay people is really fucked up. And they're like, no, we actually hate you for pointing out that we're dicks, so fuck you? And climate change, oh my god, they compared climate change to a mythical creature and made fun of it. This was in the early 2000s. This was enough time that they should have known this was a real thing. They're garbage. And I'm telling you, the giant douche turd sandwich episode did more to fuck up certain demographics of, like, certain Gen X and older millennials in terms of their political views. I understand that, like, Biden isn't let's look at the 2016 election even. Hillary and Trump. That ideology of, like, whatever, it's all the same, is so fucking destructive, and I have seen so many people say this. No. There is actually a pretty big difference between political candidates, and if you don't see them, you probably haven't looked into it enough. So please, if you care about your own well-being, stop being a centrist and actually think for once in your life about anything. It's been an hour and we're only halfway into Chris's video, so I'm doing great today.
Right. We don't know anything about global warming.
After this video, we'll jump to the milk thing. I know it's in the title. I apologize.
Oh, okay. They don't know anything about anything. They're just there to make money.
Wait, who do you think's there to make money?
That's all it is.
Oh, the shitty real estate agents, of course. Again, that's not a conspiracy, it's capitalism. They're trying to make money.
So, congratulations, India.
And they see people who are desperate and have just lost everything, and they say, oh, well, you got that land, we'll buy it from you, we know all of your possessions are gone, you're pretty desperate right now, you definitely need cash to go to a hotel and have food and clothing. How about we pay you for that land? We're gonna pay you less than we would have before, of course, and even less than even if before we had to clear out the land, but, like, you're desperate, so we have bargaining power. Yeah. Companies are shitty. Profane Priestess says, what we're sick of, and it's getting even worse, is you either like Michael Moore or you want to fucking go overseas and shoot... oh, this is a quote. This is a quote from them, from Trey and Matt. Profane Priestess says, quote, what we're sick of, and it's getting even worse, is you either like Michael Moore or you want to go overseas and shoot Iraqis. There can't be a middle ground. Basically, if you think Michael Moore's full of shit, then you're a super Christian right-wing whatever, and we're both just pretty middle ground guys. We both find just as many things to rip on the left as we do on the right. People on the far left and the far right are the same exact person to us, Trey Parker. It's this weird libertarian centrist bullshit where they're like, we're better than everyone because we don't care about anything. And when he's talking about extreme left, to be clear, we're not even talking about, like, today, where the extreme left is characterized by the right as, like, oh, they're a bunch of child trafficker, pedophile bullshit propaganda they spout. This is the early 2000s. So, like, a super left person in early 2000s would be like, can we make it so, pre-existing conditions, don't let companies not give you insurance so that a bunch of people are dying? Or, like, hey, could we, like, I don't know, have any kind of health care or something? Like, we're not talking about anything extreme here. Trey and Matt are just shit. Anyway. Fedekagami says, considering how much the abuse Kyle and Butters for daring to try to be a good person and rarely give Cartman any kind of comeuppance, I think your assessment of their politics is accurate. And Discordant Vol says the aesthetic appeal of above it all intellectual centrism really speaks to the desire to be cruel without having to care. It broke my brain for a while, and I'm glad I found my way off Shithead Mountain. I'm glad too.
For making the worst fake space video that I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't even think I need to even show it to you because it's so bad. It's better than my Apple II Plus graphics that I used to
Chris, again, that was not supposed to be live footage, it was a graphic.
play Conan the Destroyer on. Okay, with the little pixels in his shit. Oh, shit. Fucking A, man. You know, you people have to fucking wake up. You really do. You're stationary, you're not moving, you're not going anywhere. And that's the truth. You're not going to space. They haven't put anybody on space. Or
on space.
Or in whatever imaginary land, Walt Disney World, that they have up there that they created to make you think that there's something up there since 1972. They haven't faked anything since then, really.
Chris, we haven't been back to the moon since then, but we've been to the space station on and off pretty consistently. We've landed like multiple rovers on the moon. Or rather, sorry, not on the moon, though we have also done the moon. We've done Mars, which again, viscerally as like a human thing, in your head is probably not as impressive as a moon landing because we're fleshy meat people, and in our head we go, but people on moon. But just getting something like a rover, much less multiple rovers, to Mars is so more impressive than what happened. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not discounting the Apollo missions. Fucking amazing. But, like, the Mars stuff is technologically more impressive. The distance is farther. The margin of error is so much, like, wider. Like, or thinner? Whichever one makes it harder to do. The margin of error, you're not allowed to be as off, is what I'm trying to say. So, the idea that we haven't been doing things in terms of space is so wild to me. Especially in the midst of what is basically a new space race. Again, I've talked about my discomfort with the fact that it's being led by private companies, but, you know, I can't do anything about that.
No man has gone, or woman for that matter, has gone anywhere. Isn't that just enough for people to fucking wake up?
Chris, you're wrong.
Obviously it's not.
Thanks, Cult of Cautious
Every rocket
Optimism.
should have cameras.
Tons of them do, Chris. Literally, there can't live footage. We've watched it when rockets launch. There are often cameras that point when they get into space and it shows the, like, different segments of the rocket, the different tiers coming off. I'm sure everyone here has seen video like that. The problem is when you show those videos to flat earthers, they go, they're fake, that's fake. If you already are discounting any evidence that falsifies your beliefs, then you don't have a belief, you have a dogma.
Surrounded by the entire rocket to show everybody what they're paying for. On the top, on the bottom, everywhere. And it should be recorded at all times. There should be a recording or a tape footage of us going away from Earth.
There is!
There should be
there is so much!
Tape footage of us landing on the moon.
What?
From far away.
Okay, so there are cameras on landers that we have sent to the moon, but in order to, like... Chris, do you want a wide shot of us landing on the moon? In order to do that, we would first have to get a tripod there and set it up and know exactly where we were going to land. But even then, in the Apollo missions, we do have footage from, like, the orbiter. The idea that we don't have footage of these things is so wild to me.
And there's nothing.
Because every footage you show him is just fake. So why even bring up the footage? Why even bring it up? If the second you're presented with it, you're gonna say it's fake anyway, why even bring it up? Just say you don't believe anything you see.
There's nothing at all.
Be more honest.
Because it doesn't exist. Okay, all of that is bullshit up there.
Your bullshit down
it's
here.
It's all an imaginary fairy tale that you've been told. And that's why Walt Disney...
What?
...is in the pictures.
What?
Telling NASA what to do.
What? What the fuck are you talking about?
Back in 1969. It's sad. It really is.
I would imagine Walt was probably... There's many probably photos of him discussing things with NASA because on The Wonderful World of Disney, the show that he ran at the time, he did features because he was into like futurism, like 60s futurism stuff. You can see it with his Epcot project that never quite worked. He was interested in that stuff and he wanted to communicate this kind of things to his audience because he found it interesting. So I don't think the photo is of Walt explaining something to NASA people. It's probably the opposite. He's talking with NASA people about something and they're explaining it to him so he can then explain it on his show. Discordant Vol says, to seem reasonable. Well, that's stupid. It doesn't work if you don't actually take criticism.
Sad that people don't see the shit.
Ooh, there's the anger.
Too fucking Okay, alright, you know what? Look, I'm enjoying my vacation, okay?
Are you?
I don't want to have any beefs, no arguments. But the people have to wake the fuck up. Still to this day, I see pictures on the internet of a flat Earth in space. None of us believe this. Okay?
No, you believe the much stupider thing that space isn't real at all.
There's no space.
I like that he says that as if that's more reasonable. To him, he thinks like, the fact that I don't believe in space makes me seem more reasonable.
We live on a stationary land. We're not moving. The North Pole is not moving.
Relative to what? Because we do have plate tectonics, so... Things are moving, just, you know, at a geologic pace.
That star up there, the North Star, doesn't move. It never has.
It has. It just takes long periods of time. And again, it's not so much that the star... I mean, again, motion is relative, but the reason that it works the way it is because there's kind of a wobble to how the Earth is in rotation and revolving. So, like, I forget if it's like 5,000 or 7,000 years or something, maybe it's 2, the North Star changes. There are different times in history where the North Star has been different stars, and it will change again. It just changes very slowly.
And it never will. All the stars, when you do anything on that camera, travel in a circle.
Hey Chris, that's a camera, not a telescope. Get a telescope, because a telescope is what you use to look at stars, and even then, the telescope you use isn't going to be powerful enough to look at a star really well, because stars are really far away. You have a camera. That's not what that's for. Discordant says, gravity, CC, whence cometh gravity? He thinks it's buoyancy, I think. Which I know doesn't make sense either, but I'm just saying that's the thought-stopping mechanism that will say it's not gravity, it's buoyancy, even though buoyancy, the vector in buoyancy, like, it involves gravity. Which direction is gravity? That's how you determine the vector. Like, buoyancy without gravity or something like that, like, where would the direction even go in terms of how the buoyant force interacts? Like, you know what I mean?
Go straight to the North Pole. There is no South Pole. The South Pole completely goes around Earth.
It's real. Penguins live there.
It's an ice wall. The magnetic field is in the North Pole. And
the magnetic field is everywhere on Earth. It's Earth's magnetic field, Chris.
Right above it is the North Star. And if you...
this counts as gravity isn't real or buoyancy, yes. I don't know if that's worded exactly the same on the new card, but yes.
You can't see this if you don't see this, and you don't understand that we live in this amazing area that God has created, and then you're lost. You know, this is like a gymnasium in a way. Thank you for subbing for a review of my videos. Let me be a part of your life. Oh, a couple more things I gotta do, but that'll be tomorrow's video.
Oh, God. Please stop, Chris. Please stop making videos and spend time with your wife. Okay, let's do the milk thing. I'm glad I'm not wearing the maid outfit today. That would be too much milk for chat to handle. Okay, that was weird. I'm sorry. Hannah regrets something she just said on the bingo card. Discordant Vol says, there's a haunting similarly between a conspiracy theorist and Sartre's anti-Semitism kind of makes CC a little scarier. Yeah. Oh, let's check out the bingo card before we do this real quick. There aren't a ton, but I do want to do that. I'm proud of the body I have. I honestly am. I've come so far and I'm so happy about it. Flat Earth. My hormones have been killing it lately. Just absolutely killing it. And I love them very much. Sartre, thank you. Okay, let's see. Don't think he meant weather control, maybe? No, he didn't mention weather control. He did mention he thinks it's a laser, though, I think. So that would be, believe sci-fi technology is real. Let's say, probably false flag. Also, if he thinks that it was all a scheme to steal people's property, that'd probably be a false flag. I had to guess. I'm gonna say racist well, no, never mind. He thinks that about every space program. I guess that's not ethnicity specific. Yep, Hannah regrets something she just said. Something is a false flag operation. Believe sci-fi tech actually exists. Doesn't understand how cameras work for his things about his P900 camera. Is that it? I think that's maybe it. Oh, you know what? The weather control for the first guy. You're right. We do have weather control because of the first guy. Forgot about him already. Weather control. And 47 doesn't understand. Problem is capitalism. Thank you, Baja. And we're all caught up. I mentioned Atlantis. It doesn't count if just I mention it. It has to be mentioned by the conspiracy theorist. Unless a space specifically says I say or do something. That's different. 1 second. Okay, better. So, I would imagine most people are familiar with pasteurization. If not what it actually is, at least in name. Pasteurization is a process in which heat is applied to a liquid in order to basically kill germs, kill microorganisms. I'm sure you've heard of the term in relation to milk, most likely, because milk is pasteurized. Pasteurization is a process that was named after Louis Pasteur, who I believe was the first to pioneer the idea that heat applied over time can kill microorganisms. So that was developed into pasteurization. In the United States, for instance, it is so safe and has prevented so many people from getting sick and dying. It is literally, most places in the United States, illegal to sell raw milk. You have to buy pasteurized milk. All the milk you see in your store, unless your state has weird laws, is pasteurized. Pasteurization is incredibly important. I cannot overstate how much pasteurization has been helpful, okay? Our entire understanding of germs and bacteria and how that applies to the food we eat has prevented so many deaths. And it makes me sad that we're in the year of our Lord, 2023, and there are people who don't believe it. So we'll check out this guy's video after I read these messages from chatters. Discordant Vol with 100 bits says pasteurization built civilization, not joking. Bay Cop with 200 bits says a beard with no top lip hair, that's my comment. The raw milk people want poo-laden milk. Guess they want that poo milk.
You would have heard about germ theory.
Oh boy!
Attributed to French microbiologist and chemist Louis Pasteur. The theory is the cornerstone of modern medicine, and he also developed the process named after him, pasteurization. But what you wouldn't have heard is, just like the theory, Louis Pasteur was a fraud.
Continue.
He died in 1895, and while knowledge of his fraud back then...
I just feel like at some point, don't you think someone in the milk industry would have been like, hey, like, this is expensive. Why are we doing pasteurization if this doesn't do anything? Because again, milk is produced in the system that we live in, which is capitalism, and the goal in capitalism is to make as much money as possible while spending the least money. That's literally the point. That's the goal, is to increase your profit. So why would they unnecessarily do a whole expensive and in-depth process of pasteurization? Sorry, I got a missed call from spam. Why would they spend all this money and lower their profit margin if it didn't do anything? Okay. Discordant Vol says, oh no, we got a miasma stan. Also, these days a lot of people don't drink dairy milk. Like, a lot of people in the population, myself included, are pretty, like, averse to lactose. Like, you guys know how much I like cheese, but I need to take dairy aid. Like, my body cannot process dairy properly on its own. I don't ever drink dairy milk. Like, rarely. If it's, like, maybe once a year or something, a couple times a year I'll get, like, a chocolate milk, like a really nice one, from a local market that's kind of a regional supplier that has, like, really good stuff. It is pasteurized. But most of the time, I don't, you know? The dairy I eat is mostly cheese, or if I get ice cream. I don't think most people are just out here drinking milk. How many people every day drink dairy milk? I just don't think it's as common as this guy thinks it is. At least not for younger people. Like millennials and younger. I don't know. It seems like some people just drink... Like, my dad drank the shit out of milk. It's so weird. I don't get it.
And was, you know, fairly widespread. Didn't really get into the media, and it wasn't until 1923 when Ethel Douglas Hume wrote her book, Berchamp or Pasteur. Berchamp was another French scientist, microbiologist, contemporary of Pasteur's, and...
You drink lactose-free Fairlife milk? Oh, that's probably better for your tummy.
He was the one who did all the real work, and Pasteur just stole most of his stuff. In fact, the book's title...
What would that have anything to do with if pasteurization was real? Like, if you're saying he stole it, then you're saying implicitly that he stole real information? Like, why would you steal fake information? That doesn't make any sense. And is everyone since then who knows how germs work, everyone in the food safety industry all around the world, you think they're all just in on it?
Was later changed to Pasteur Exposed. And then 2 decades later, R.B. Pearson published another work, Pasteur, Plagiarist, Imposter. And the name of that was also changed later to The Dream, The Lie of Louis Pasteur. It wasn't until later in the 20th century that Pasteur's lab notes were released to the public. His family tried to hide them for many years. One of the first people to thoroughly review them was Gerald Geeson. He wrote an article in the New York Times in 1995. He declared that Pasteur was a fraudster. His germ theory was a lie.
His germ theory? Do you think that the only person who has ever tested or observed like, what germ theory says is Louis Pasteur? You think no one's followed up on that and checked the work? You think no one's checked on whether or not germs are real? You can literally get a microscope on Amazon and look at microorganisms. You can see that they exist and that they're real. Like, what do you think they are? Like, in my school, this is probably going to vary. In my middle school, we had a whole, like, section of our, like, science, natural science class, whatever it was, I don't remember the specific title, about microscopy. So for, like, a couple weeks, we learned about microscopes and then took samples of things, or had pre-made samples that the school had, and looked at them under microscopes, and did different, you know, worksheets about, like, how the microscopes worked and what you can see and stuff. Like, I have literally seen microorganisms that I myself have pulled out of a pond, because we had, like, a pond behind the school, and it was, you know, it was just like a natural pond, so it was, like, had scum and stuff. So the science class went out there, and we all got little, like, things to put on our slides, you know, from the pond, and then we took it back inside, and then we were able to see all the little things in it, because it was, you know, it was like a pond full of stuff. What does he think these are? Or has he just never seen it?
As was his vaccine research and...
Oh my fucking god. I am so sick of these anti-vaxxers. Like, this was annoying enough when it was a relatively niche thing, like, 10 years ago. Like, if I could go back in time, and or if a genie was like, you can remove one person from history, not in a... or change someone's destiny, let's say. Let's not go into removing people from history. Let's say you get to change what someone does with their life. I would take Andrew Wakefield and make him do literally anything else. Andrew Wakefield, if you don't know, is the former doctor. He lost his license because he's a fucking liar who falsified research in order to try and make it look like vaccines caused autism. They do not. There has never been any scientific evidence or studies that form a link between vaccines and autism. Period. He's a piece of shit. And this used to be pretty niche, and then of course COVID happened, and all of a sudden it became some sort of weird identity politics issue for Republicans to be anti-vax, which is bizarre. I've talked about my dad before because he's a typical, you know, has been watching Fox News since like the 90s. He listened to Rush Limbaugh and all sorts of stuff. He basically sits in his echo chambers and gets brainwashed every day because he's addicted to rage and scapegoating for his own problems. Anyway, he was someone who got vaccines every year. Like, I haven't talked to him in years, but every year he'd get a flu vaccine. And now that, like, the right-wing party line has gotten so anti-vaccine, I am so curious if he has done a complete 180. And he's like, nope, I'm not going to get vaccines anymore, even though he did my entire life. Just curious.
And all of his ideas were largely stolen from his contemporaries and plagiarized. Contemporaries were Antoine Béchamp, the one I mentioned before.
Again, you're saying opposing things. Either it's, like, are you saying that it was plagiarized but real? Or fake? You're saying he plagiarized fake work? Why would that even... Why would the plagiarism matter in this case then? If it's all fake, why would you plagiarize fake work? Like, if he knew it was fake, then he could just be like, I will falsify this because that's how science works. Doesn't understand the scientific method on the bingo card.
In the 1923 book. And Claude Bernard. Béchamp discovered that germs, bacteria...
What do they say when unvaccinated kids are autistic? I've heard people say that, like, you or your parents were vaccinated and it somehow transferred. Nowadays, because so many idiot anti-vaxxers think that vaccine quote-unquote shedding is a thing, basically they think vaccines can be contagious They probably think that. Of course they're not. If they were, vaccines would be, like, can you imagine how effective a vaccine would be if it could just be spread through the population? But that's not how they work. Maybe someday that would actually be pretty cool. Like, oh, let's prevent disease, we'll just give it to people, but it's safe and no one, you know, whatever. I don't think that'll probably ever happen. But anyway, because some people can be allergic to certain vaccines, so that would be irresponsible. But that's not how vaccines work. They don't understand how anything works. I could say that about pretty much every video we watch, though, so. Discordant Vol says you can actually become addicted to the adrenaline of being exposed to things that make you angry or anxious. Also bits above. Sorry, Discordant Vol. Let me find the bits. Said, okay, Pasteur Institute was the first privatized scientific organization. It was kind of a progenitor of intellectual property laws, if I remember correctly. Oh, I didn't know that. There's an attempt to create communicable vaccines as a way to immunize wild animal populations. That's pretty cool. That's a good use of that, if they're able to do it.
And viruses were pleomorphic, means that they could change from one organism to another type of organism. Bernard expanded on this.
What?
Finding out that the environment was the cause of these changes. Pasteur admitted his fraud on his deathbed and claimed that...
There's always so many of these deathbed confessions. I've seen the same shit from, like, anti-evolution people who are like, Darwin on his deathbed. First of all, bullshit. These deathbed stories about scientists recanting are bullshit. Especially the Darwin one, which was literally like a lady who couldn't even prove she knew the fucking guy. Anyway, misunderstanding of how science works. It doesn't matter what Louis Pasteur or Charles Darwin or any individual scientists believe on their deathbed or while they're alive, because science isn't based on just, hey, this guy said a thing. It's based upon other people seeing the thing the guy said and going, let me test that, and people try to falsify it. Right? Science doesn't work by people just going, wow, that's cool, let's say that's true. They test it. That's the entire purpose of science, is to have hypotheses and then trying to falsify those hypotheses to weed out bad ideas. That's the whole point.
The germ is nothing, the terrain is everything. The germ theory it's...
Let's see. That actually happens with a weekend malaria virus vaccine used in Africa. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. And someone else says the original polio vaccine did shed. It was a weekend live virus. Ooh. Discordant Vol says it was with one version with the polio vaccine, the sugar cube one. And Gimpy G says, I need a microphone arm that clamps to the desk and very adjustable plus stable since I'm unable to adjust it if it moves. Ideas. This one's pretty good. I got this on Amazon. It's, I don't think it has branding on it. I just searched on Amazon, screw-in microphone articulating arm. If you can find one with a, they make ones that have basically bungees that hold the microphone to try and minimize, like, slamming noises. Mine doesn't have that, which I really need to get at some point. But any of them should probably be fine, I would think. Like, this one's very flexible. I can put this all over the place. And it stays on the desk very well and everything. Sorry, that was probably annoying to hear. The moving around noise. Chromatic Cuttlefish says there was an Australian doctor in the 1980s, Barry Marshall, who theorized that gastric ulcers were caused by bacterium, contrary to the accepted medical wisdom at the time. He got his Mad Scientist award plus a later Nobel Prize by deliberately infecting himself with the bug and waiting until he started to get symptoms. Germ theory works. I've heard of that guy. Reminds me of the guy that did the tests on knuckle cracking, and he cracked one hand's knuckles for like decades and didn't on the other hand ever. And then determined, like, it doesn't cause arthritis or whatever. Again, that's a one-person case study, but still. Discordant Vol, thanks for gifting a sub.
Itself was something that Pasteur actually plagiarized too. This was around for centuries before he was born as a theory because, back then they didn't have microscopes, and sometime after the invention of the microscope, it was actually in 1762, there was an Italian physicist, M.A. Plensis. He published his germ theory of infectious diseases, claiming that there was a special organism which could cause infections, it could also reproduce outside the body and transport itself through the air. And this was a work that Pasteur actually mainly plagiarized from.
Do you think, is he confused? Does he think that, like, building off the work of previous scientists is theft? Does he think that if you utilize theories and observations made by previous scientists, does he think that that's plagiarism? Because I've been confused this whole time. But I think he's maybe just describing, citing established science and claiming it's plagiarism. Oh, God. Oh, God.
There are other ideas, mainly from Béchamp. He made a lot of discovery, famous ones at the time, like molds and ferments were living organisms. Ferments are responsible for diseases.
Don't ever trust fungus. It chooses not to be plant or animal. I do not trust it.
In grapes, there was a big problem in the vineyards back then. Parasites were the cause of silkworm disease, another problem of the times. Pasteur also produced serums for rabies and anthrax, which were colossal failures. For example, people...
Okay. Do you think, like, and Newton was also attempting to turn lead into gold. That doesn't make gravity not true, his theory of gravity. Like, it doesn't mean force doesn't equal mass times acceleration just because he was wrong about other things. This is a problem with so much of conspiracy ideology. It involves assessing claims not based on the claims themselves, but based on the person making the claim. Again, a lot of these people think in black and white terms. So they, in their head, think either Newton or Pasteur has to be right about everything they ever said, or wrong about everything they ever said. It can't be in their mind that, hey, they're scientists of their time, and some things they tried worked, and some things didn't. Like, sometimes your experiments aren't going to work, and you're not going to be right. You're going to have null results. That's normal. Sometimes you get lucky, or you have a great idea at the right time period, and you create some new understanding that then gets tested by other people and confirmed or falsified. Like, that's how it works. It's not nefarious. It's literally just science. Oh, by the way, chat, real quick, I had electrolysis yesterday. Oh my fucking god. My lip, we got no fucking hair on my lip. We're not totally done with my lip. Like, there's gonna be a few more cycles of, like, regrowth before we kill them for good, the few that are remaining. But it feels so nice. If anyone wants to know what it's like to be, well, I know a lot of my chat is trans. If anyone's curious, though, do you know how shitty it is? Like, when you're first going through puberty. I was in, like, 5th grade when I started hitting puberty. Like, not full on. It was probably another year or two before things really got going. But things started moving in 5th grade in terms of puberty. Started getting those first, like, hairs. I have never felt so fucking disgusted. I tried to start, like, literally, my grandparents left for the winters and would go to Florida. They still do. And I would be at their house a lot of the time, and no one else was there because I was kind of a latchkey kid, but at their house, and then my parents would come pick me up after they were done with work. And literally, this was like when my, puberty was just starting, and I knew what puberty was, but, like, I didn't understand why I was so uncomfortable and distressed with it. And to be clear, even cis people, have problems and uncomfortability dealing with the changes of puberty. This was not that, though. This is gender dysphoria, trans stuff. And oh my god, I was like, how old was I in 5th grade? Not that old. probably not even a teen yet. No, 5th grade. You're not a teen until middle school, right? I was like probably 10, 11, 12. 10, 11. Anyway, I'm in their house alone and I'm just looking for like a razor. I've never shaved before, you know? And it would have made more sense to pluck it, but I'm a child and I'm freaking out, you know? So I didn't get tweezers or anything. You know, I'm looking for a razor and I ended up using like an old razor to like probably fucked up my lip. It was bad. Anyway, I'm good now. I'm great now. Let me tell you, second puberty's been a lot more fun than the first one.
People were dying from his vaccines instead of those diseases, and
source?
I mean, the case of rabies, which you hear how horrible it is.
Rabies is terrible, correct.
Pasteur's vaccine was far, far worse. It was a nightmare.
Are you talking about, is this any relation to the current vaccine or the current treatment, whatever it is? I think it probably is a vaccine. It's just that when you get bitten by a wild animal, you're supposed to get the, like, rabies thing if there's any chance you could get it, because there's no cure for rabies. If you get it, you're gonna die. But it involves, like, a really big needle put somewhere uncomfortable, but it works and it saves your life. So I don't know if the one that Pasteur worked on was at all functional, but regardless, it has nothing to do with pasteurization, so...
The life of Louis Pasteur it's really interesting. There's a lot of information, unfortunately.
Sorry again, Discordant Vol. Discordant Vol said, his institute was the first to have someone survive rabies infection, you silly bastard. Oh, okay. Well, he's just fucking wrong, then. Oh, they don't do the stomach one anymore? That's good.
You just can't squeeze it all into a small video. You could easily do a 2-hour documentary on his lies and fraud. So if you want to learn more, just check out those books and articles that I mentioned previously. That's a good start. The real question is, why is this imposter glorified by society and modern medicine?
I mean, what do you mean glorified? They don't hold parades for the guy, but like, yeah, it's nice when people are remembered for their contributions, right? Like anyone who discovers anything important or interesting.
Truth is that his theories, even though they have been disproven, are highly profitable for the pharmaceutical industry. With the public...
Ah, yes, because when I think about corruption within the pharmaceutical industry, I think about pasteurization.
Believing...
I assume he's talking about the vaccine thing, I know. But I'm talking about milk.
Being duped into the germ theory of disease.
It's literally how some diseases work. Obviously not all diseases, but yeah, a lot of them. Not parasites, but things that are caused by germs, yeah.
Opens the door for them to sell useless pharmaceutical medications. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and the works of Louis Pasteur are really crucial for their ongoing success. If the
fact that the things he found were true are crucial to their ongoing success.
Keep believing, the sheep will keep demanding their products, and
sheeple on the bingo card.
You know, they're making a lot of money out of it, so they will fight tooth and nail to make sure that his theories are still popularized, even though they're all frauds, they're all fake.
Sir, what's your qualifications to make that claim, and what experiments have you done?
Been proven wrong. And I trust you enjoyed this expose on Louis Pasteur.
Was it an expose? You just said stuff.
For more wake up from being a sheep information on health-related topics, visit my website at healthglade.com. Hi, this is Adam from Healthglade. If you enjoyed this video and want more health-related content that you won't hear...
Yeah, Urinos. Stone Corbell says, what do you think... what do you want to bet if he gets a serious illness, he's going to go to the hospital and get one of these pharmaceutical products? He might not. Like, there are a lot of these alt health people who are true believers. I don't think he's necessarily a grifter, or at least not just a grifter. I think he might actually be a true believer, which is sad. Let's take a look at the bingo card. I don't know how much we got, but let's see, shall we? Let's Hannah mentions cheese. Mentioned that earlier. sheeple. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, misunderstands scientific research? Where is that one? What number is that? Doesn't understand the scientific method? I know it's on here somewhere. My research? Did he said his research? I don't remember him saying it. Thank you. There's the scientific method one. Do your own research, maybe? I'd say do your own research. Because I think he's telling you to look into it. I'd say do your own research. Discordant Vole says, I can't with this guy. Science does not work like your conspiracy theories. We're capable of changing when we encounter evidence. We don't have science messiahs. Incorrectly believes evidence is self-evident. Okay, I can certainly see that. He didn't really provide sources or anything. He just said no. So sure, why not? I literally picked this because this just looks like the worst angle to ever shoot a video from. It's like we're his genitals and he's talking to us, and I don't like that.
Alright, so I'm just gonna put my 2 cents out about the old India moon landing.
Oh boy, I'm sure you got thoughts on that.
That, you know, goes right in line with our cartoon clown show world. I mean, where they literally, in 2023, show a cartoon of some spacecraft landing on the moon.
Again, it's a graphic. At no point did they say, this is live footage. It's not supposed to look realistic, it's just supposed to show you, like, where in its descent it is. It's like in the 90s. Like, you know in the 90s and early 2000s? Let me see if I can find an example of this, actually, because it's an interesting trope. Let's see. 90s unnecessary movie computer graphics. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about. But have you ever seen, like, a movie or TV show from, like, the 90s or early 2000s, and someone will be using a program or something, and that program has some sort of graphic showing what's going on, but the graphic is completely divorced from, like, the actual thing happening? It just seems superfluous, right? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? It's like people, because it was the 90s and early 2000s, people who didn't really know computers thinking about how computers work. It's actually kind of like that, but for real. It's literally just a visual to show you what's happening. Jurassic Park hacking. Good example.
You know,
it's a Unix system. I know this.
Other channels have touched on that and you know, ripped that to
She says Unix.
Shreds already. My take on it is the twist, you know, it's a Indian moon landing with a dash of Russian incompetence.
Yeah, if you don't know, Russia tried to do a moon landing as well, and theirs, I think, crashed.
I mean, India can land a cartoon on the moon.
Again, it's not a cartoon. There's literally camera footage.
But Russia can't.
Yeah, sometimes things go wrong. Yeah. His laugh is always so goddamn creepy.
But don't worry. There's peace in space. Because Elon Musk was given power by the dragon to take both Russian astronauts, or excuse me, American astronauts and Russian cosmonauts to the space station recently.
Yeah, that happened, and there was footage of that, too. Steve of the Q says, why do they so often want to show us their nostrils? I don't know. The dragon? Is he talking about... Like, was one of the... Is one of the SpaceX rockets called Dragon something, or am I misremembering that? He might be referring to that and trying to associate it with some sort of connotations. Crew Dragon, thank you, Solar Lander.
And the people just keep eating it up. Just keep eating it up. And
there was the French moon landing that put its eye out. Nope, I'm gonna hold it in.
Continue to.
You're trying to trick me into giving you a bingo spot, I just know it.
The overwhelming majority of the masses still to this day. I mean, I know for a fact there's ones out there that know the globe isn't real, is a lie. But they are still of the mindset that it doesn't matter. It's
Who do you think thinks that?
Inconsequential.
Can you mark aliens on the bingo card? No. Why?
To them. They can't see the forest for the trees. They have no clue the implications of what it all really means and why they have lied to us all.
I have a physical media... Fuck! That counts. God damn it. I hate you. I hate you. Hannah mentions Blu-rays on the bingo card. Well, that's out of the bottle, so... I like Metropolis better, but, like, they're decades apart, so to even compare them is unfair. Trip to the Moon walked so Metropolis could run. A Trip to the Moon, a film by Georges Méliès. And it also has a documentary about it. This is Region B, though. This is not... You can't play this in normal American Blu-ray players. It has to be a Region Free one or a Region B. Damn it.
From cradle to grave, the constant bombardment of the space agenda.
Did he say we're all watching a movie? Sorry, I missed it because I was talking about my bullshit.
Can't see the forest for the trees. They have no clue the implications of what it all really means and why they have lied to us all. From cradle to grave, the constant bombardment of the space agenda. Literally starting in the cradle with the planetary mobiles spinning above our heads.
Do you think every baby has that? Cold Stare, thanks for 36 months.
So, you know, I find it...
I've seen colorized Metropolis. It's interesting, but I don't really like it. I prefer it with music that more suits the original tone, but I'm glad it exists for people who like it. Stone Corbell says, it's almost like people talk about what's in reality often.
It's hilarious that people still think this war in Ukraine... Now, when I say it's all a big show, doesn't mean people aren't dying.
I'd say that's close enough to we're watching a movie. It's a big show. Sure. And we already had False Flag, so...
People aren't suffering. I mean, all you gotta do is be living in America to see...
Living in America.
We're suffering horribly from all these sanctions and the evil bastards that destroyed that pipeline. Even after U.S. official told us, we're going to destroy that pipeline. Years before it happened. If you cross this line, Russia, we'll destroy that pipeline. So Russia's all more than happy to cross that line. Just like they're more than happy to play the incompetent role in the moon landing. Once again, Russia could quite literally, because that's all we've seen or excuse me, India, that's all we saw was a cartoon.
Literally no. Oh my god, these people lie. They're such liars. I showed you guys earlier the video footage from the moon.
Supposedly land on the moon.
They selectively filter out information that they don't want to listen to. He easily could have found the footage that I showed you guys earlier, but he's not going to look for it because he's not looking to falsify his own beliefs. Some people are too confident. Some people have too big of an ego. Like, I'm not going to say I'm healthy on this. Most of my life I've been overly critical of myself. But you should never be so confident or so full of yourself that you never question your beliefs and never try and falsify them. You should absolutely do that. And I'm not saying you need to second guess yourself about everything every day. You know, there are things that you verify, and once you verify them, you're probably good. Like gravity, you know? We get gravity, we understand it. I trust that gravity's real. But, you know, in general, your political beliefs, you know? Your moral beliefs, your understanding of how the world works, it's completely fair to look and see, like, am I still right about this thing? And I am by no means telling you to go out there and look for, like, weird alternative bullshit. I am saying, if you are shown legitimate sources that back up something different than what you believe, you should internalize that.
Russia couldn't do it. Their cartoon crashed on the way to the moon.
His laugh is like nails on a chalkboard.
And once again, does India have the forethought and the foresight to put a camera on their little...
Yes, because there was footage of it. You just chose not to look at it, apparently, and pretend that it doesn't exist. Because you're delusional.
Moonlander?
They literally did.
And show us the globe in all its glory. No. Cartoons can't do that. You can't put cameras on cartoons.
They went to the South Pole of the moon. I don't even think they necessarily have an immediate shot of Earth they could get. Because the moon is tidally locked. So... don't really know if at the South Pole they'd have any opportunity to see the Earth.
It's amazing, all these brilliant minds that land these crafts on the moon, but none of them ever think, hey, we should put a camera on there.
They, like, all do. All of them have cameras. There's footage of it everywhere. You're just being intentionally obtuse? Is this all you have? Talking to your camera dick and lying? That's sad. Discordant Vol says, have you read Life, the Universe, and Everything from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series? Remember the planet Cricket? It was surrounded by a dust cloud, and upon discovering the universe beyond it, they decided to destroy the universe rather than expanding their worldview beyond the cloud. That's these guys. Was that the book where there was the machine that let you see your exact insignificant place in the universe, but then Zaphod Beeblebrox got in it? And he was fine because at the time it turned out he was inside a simulation of the world. So within that simulation, he was the center of the universe because the simulation was created to distract him. So it didn't make him crazy. I love Douglas Adams. The Total Reality Vortex. Yeah. It's been a while since I've read them. It's been a long time. I need to reread.
And live stream this great globe we live on 24/7. Think of all the money we could make. Think of all the traffic on that stream.
Literally, there are live streams of Earth all the time. You can go to one right now. Let's see. NASA live stream. Oh, look, on NASA's official channel.
Political community.
Oh, they're doing an actual thing right now. Let me find the ISS camera. Here it is. This is live. With whatever delay it takes to get this footage to their office and then broadcast it to YouTube. You can literally see it, and oh, let's see how many views. Oh, there's only 173 people watching right now. It's almost like most people... I don't mean to say, like... How do I put this? People are kind of jaded by space stuff. Like, one of the reasons I don't know, one of the reasons NASA continued to get less funding was, first of all, it was basically an arms race disguised as a space race. But regardless, public interest also got low really quickly. Like, people were like, oh, the moon? Yeah, we've been there. I don't need to tune in to watch us go to the moon again, you know? Just public interest wasn't there as much in the late 70s, mid to late 70s, 80s, you know? Anyway, then the shuttle program happened, and there were several high-profile disasters that further made people less interested in space stuff. I think it's, like, coming back to an extent, but, like, you know, while it's very cool that this live stream exists, it's not exactly thrilling to someone in this day and age. Like, you can find tons of real footage from space, so it's not novel to people.
We could get. Think of all the advertising dollars we could get.
No, not that many people give a shit. And also, NASA is a public agency. I would really, 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 really prefer NASA not to start taking advertiser dollars for some stupid bullshit reason. I have not seen For All Mankind, though I've heard good things.
Especially the, you know, now new superpower in space, India.
This feels like it's going to be racist. First of all, weird straw man you've constructed. It's a brilliant step for their space program. It's great. It's an amazing accomplishment for the scientists that work on it. They're one of the very few, like, countries that have done this. Like, yes, India has... It just feels like there's a level of derision and disbelief here, and it's entirely focused on racist stereotypes that he probably has of India, which is really fucking unfortunate to me.
They couldn't use the extra money.
Okay. Racist disbelief of historical achievements. Normally this is used for, like, believing the pyramids were built by aliens. But I'm going to call it for this one. Racist disbelief of historical achievements, because India landing on the moon is a historical achievement, and he is disbelieving it, at least in part, due to racism. So that counts.
From the advertising or the subscription fees.
I would imagine it's the government of India doing this, and the public has a right to see the footage from that and not pay a subscription if it's funded by the public government.
They could charge people to watch the globe live.
Here's the thing, most people don't feel the need to do that because we already, you know, trust that the Earth is round and have seen it many times throughout our lives in various forms and footage and photographs from different trustworthy sources. So we don't need to do that.
In all its glory.
Marcus Drake says racist stereotypes of India related to their space program. May I introduce you to circa 2014 New York Times? Oh god, how bad is this gonna be? Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god. This wasn't even a decade ago. From the New York fucking Times? Are you kidding me? How did anyone not look at that and go, maybe this isn't okay? People make me fucking sick. Discordant Vol says neoliberal capitalist brain rot needs to be on the card. Chromatic Cuttlefish says if you can build a moon lander, you can build a pretty reliable ICBM. That's the slightly dark corollary to the space programs around the world. Oh, of course. That's the underlying message since the beginning. That was the whole reason for the, like, space race. It was a publicly acceptable way of continuing nuclear proliferation while coating it in a, like, thin layer of science paint. And again, I'm not against it. I mean, any reason to get, like, scientific research done, awesome. But you also do need to recognize, like, a lot of that, most of it from the funding level was because, you know, Cold War. It wasn't just a genuine hope in science for the future, like we'd like to think it is. It was people going, we need money to figure out how to launch things very specifically. So instead of doing that publicly with a bomb, let's put people in space. Because that seems uplifting. Simzoid, thanks for 27 months. This sub-baby's name is going to be Neil Aldrin. Get Deformed says, and I forgot the link to the vid.
Welcome back to the Save It for Parts channel. Recently, my weather satellite videos have been getting pretty popular, and a number of people have asked if I could do a simple step-by-step how-to guide for listening to some of these weather satellites. Now, in most of my videos, you're learning right along with me. I'm learning new things, I'm experimenting, I don't know.
Is this person just making like a weather balloon? It's kind of interesting. Hydrate. They're already taking measurements of the south pole of the moon? That is so cool.
This is a topic I covered last month with the initial...
Oops, sorry, wrong video. That's a different person complaining about India's achievement.
It almost, once again, starts to make you think, maybe the globe isn't real.
No.
But don't mind me. I'm just a crazy conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
Because I don't take space agency's word for it when they land cartoons on the moon. Silly me.
It's always funny to me when they literally say something true but super sarcastically. It's always a little funny to me. Oh, how's Michelle doing? Oh, she's wearing a Q shirt. QAnon referenced on the bingo card.
Q is the Galactic Federation of Light, and President Trump is working with them. This is a message from Kabamer_Tegeta on Twitter from 2017. I have been given verification that Q is legit and is in contact with light forces. Information will continue. More recently, he posted, I have nothing to gain by talking about Q, and I don't plan on making it a common occurrence, but I feel compelled to set the record straight. Why am I here? To prepare people for ascension.
Aliens on the bingo card. Discordant Vol says, this is racist in an almost ascendant way. India couldn't possibly land on the moon, so the moon was never real. And Jake Thoney says, Hannah, have you heard of the Patriot Astrologer? He's pretty amazing, and I strongly recommend for Tinfoil Days. I will look him up. Is he on YouTube or BitChute or Rumble? If you know, let me know. Boop, boop. I'll take a look at that later.
What did I say Q's purpose was in 2017? To prepare for ascension. What was Q's last word in 2022? Ascension. It's notable that Q talked about angels, ascension, and unforeseen forces of dark and light, but not about angry gods, hell, or blood rituals to save us from our sins. Spirituality, not doctrine. I said from the beginning that Q was Pleiadian contact with the NSA. The individual posting as Q is a Pleiadian who manifested to others as an NSA agent. Contact has been happening for years, and when Trump was elected...
So you think that Q of QAnon fame is an alien that's implanted in the NSA? That's weird because a Q security clearance is a clearance from the Department of Energy, not the NSA.
There was an opportunity to reach people through social media.
Does him saying I'm a crazy conspiracy theorist count as a conspiracy theorist tells on themselves on the bingo card? No, it's more if they reveal their own insecurities through their rambling.
Will say it was always a psyop or give different explanations about the source.
Psyop on the bingo card?
I already know the truth. This operation was just a small part of what I'm trying to share. The Great Awakening was never about mass public arrests. There had to be a way...
Moves goalposts on the bingo card. That is a big move on the goalpost. Q constantly. QAnon has been riddled with the idea that there's going to be mass arrests, so that's moving the goalpost. Thank you, Jake Thoney, for the link. Let me save him real quick so I don't forget. Conspiracy, done, cool.
To get the masses involved. It was about promoting questions and critical thinking to break free of cabal programming. We are nearing the end of the...
Cabal on the bingo card. I think it's like Illuminati, Freemasons / Cabal.
3D story, and everything hidden will come...
They're thirsty for the day of the rope so much.
...into the light. It's time for humans to be aware of the dark forces manipulating Earth, and more importantly, to know that light forces have always been with us. To trust the plan is to trust God, or the light forces preparing our ascension. Humans are not going to save us. Pleiadians and Galactic Federation are the angels of light from Scripture who want us to save ourselves by learning self-empowerment and choosing light and truth. Q drops coincided with DNA downloads received by star seeds around
DNA downloads? What does that even mean? Word salad.
the world. The drops had multiple meanings that could be understood based on the level of one's consciousness of awareness. White hats know about Pleiadians and what's coming, so they're not planning financial systems or preparing to disclose hidden technology. There isn't going to be martial law or a civil war. White hats avoid war, not plan it. White hats don't lie to the public or force actors to put on a show. We've been watching a black hat puppets show. That doesn't mean we haven't won. Ascension is guaranteed. Arrests can't be publicized because white hats don't control government or media. Be optimistic about the future, but understand we are not at the end yet.
It's interesting because a lot of the things she is saying is directly in opposition to the general beliefs of most Q believers, at least from my view of the Q communities that I observe to keep tabs on, like, their lore and everything. I actually haven't been as up on the Q stuff because it hasn't been as prevalent lately. There's been a lot more... It's stuff that still is in the realm of Q, but it's divorced itself from the character of Q, so you still get people who believe in unsubstantiated claims of, like, you know, child trafficking by elites in order to harvest adrenochrome. None of that on the bingo card, because it's me saying it. But it's more freeform than it was, because Q's kind of disappeared. He came back for a little bit in like, last year, but I think he's gone again, and even when he did come back last year, not as many of the QAnon followers, like, bought that it was really him. There were some that, like, were like, this is fake, this isn't the real Q. So, like, there was kind of like a sectarian split, almost. So there are, like, there's QAnon groups that have differing beliefs. It's interesting. But I have never seen anyone espouse the things she is saying. So she's got her own little belief system going on where she's at the center. So it's like she's co-opted QAnon beliefs and has put herself at the center of these things for her delusions.
There is still tribulation. Never forget that your inner peace is not dependent on outside circumstances. We are going to show you a new world. Those who are blind will soon see the light. A beautiful, brave new world lies ahead. We take this journey together, one step at a time. Q. That was a Q quote. Also from Cabamer, the best really is yet to come. These aren't just words. I'm here to tell you that there is an unstoppable plan in motion. I'm talking about something bigger than a new financial system.
If it's unstoppable, why are you even talking about it? Just do it. Kind of weird that you keep talking about it. Feels like this Q person they believe in has just been talking and talking and talking for years. It's been like 6 years since Q showed up. You still not like, hey, maybe it was all fake. Just a thought. Odd Tall Man with 300 bits says, take my bits, love your show. Thank you. Thank you very much. I love my show too. Especially my viewers.
Or mass arrests. We are soon to experience heaven on earth.
She hasn't actually read Brave New World, has she? She just rereads the blood orgy scene at the end over and over.
Beauty beyond...
Dimension beyond our own. Yeah. She's also talking about vibrations and stuff, which usually involves that, so. Sorry, spoilers for Brave New World. About the, you know, blood orgy.
Imagination. I believe many true seekers are unprepared for what's coming before the shift because they're being told white hats are in control of world events and are about to rescue us from evil. This is dangerous thinking. This is the Great Tribulation and we're not at the end.
Oh shit, Marcus Drake says bingo. Let's take a look. False flag, do your own research, dimension beyond our own, QAnon, doesn't understand the problem is capitalism. Marcus Drake, you've done it, my friend. You have won yourself bingo. Let me real quick write your name down. Congratulations, that is our bingo winner for the day. We can continue playing for fun until the end of the stream, but that is the winner of the gift sub, which I will bank for you. You can use it any time for yourself or anyone else. So just let me know. Let me write your name down. Marcus Drake. Saved. Cool beans. Where did you go, Michelle? There you are.
Yet. There will be a continuation of what we're already
Have a good dinner, Phoenix.
seeing, which will escalate drastically by the next election. Freedoms will continue to be taken away. Brainwashing of children will continue.
By brainwashing of children, you mean, I don't know, teaching how the world works. Hydrate.
Globalist agendas will expand. More clones, transhumanism, bank collapse, climate blackouts, power grid attacks, food shortages. I believe a U.S.
Buzzword, buzzword, buzzword. Are you afraid yet? Are you afraid? Are you afraid?
war with China is being planned. Galactic Federation won't stop every bad thing from happening, but we are being continually assisted in ways we can't see. They will weaken pandemics, they will stop nuclear weapons, and they won't allow any fake invasions, alien invasions. It's okay to be aware
Project Bluebeam on the bingo card.
of dark plans, but don't dwell in negative thinking. This lowers your frequency and allows for astral attachments. Be mindful of your thoughts and actions because this creates your experience. Keep your light. Don't lose hope. We are not prisoners and everything is temporary. Continue standing for truth, but know that what is within your control to change, and have peace about what you can't change. Focus on the big picture and ignore the daily noise. Go within to connect with your higher self to find peace. Never
Yeah, we already had to believe sci-fi tech exists, but yes.
be afraid, just be prepared. This is also part of why twin flames are coming together around the world to build a new world and love and families. I just want to wish everybody a great day and a great ascension. I love you all. God bless.
Oh, she's doing great. GamerG says, not Q, but my latest Fash Watch update was the Proud Boys Patriot Front groups are spending their time whining about their members who keep getting arrested for January 6th and complaining how voting is meaningless now that Trump lost. All I can picture is the Emperor from Star Wars. Good. Good. I can't do a good Emperor. You're gonna have to find Michael Staclosta for an Emperor impression.
The theory of evolution is completely false, and this theory is much more plausible.
Oh god. This started off real rough. Scornant Vol says, does she know nothing of the Prime Directive? The Federation won't intercede, except for all the times they do. The Prime Directive is there literally for story purposes.
Education system has been lying.
So they have something to buck against. This rule says we shouldn't help these people, but what if we should help these people? Let's help these people. And no one gets in trouble.
To us all this time. 66 million years ago, it said that a meteorite hit Earth, causing the extinction of the dinosaurs. But
not just the meteor caused a bunch of stuff to get kicked up into the atmosphere, which decreased the amount of, like, light that hit the Earth, which led to climate change, which led to mass extinction events, and yes, the dinosaurs died.
But what if I told you it wasn't a meteorite, but a spacecraft that brought the first humans to Earth?
No, that's not how that works. No, we actually know that's not the case. So no.
A massive spacecraft in which we would have stayed for years after the impact, waiting for the air to become breathable and the danger to pass.
So did they crash on purpose? Was this like a... In order to terraform this planet, we need to crash into it. I don't think that's how things work.
Now you might wonder why there's no trace of this gigantic spacecraft.
Yeah, that's a good question.
The answer is simple. The first humans would have completely dismantled it to build tools and use it.
I mean, it was their only shelter, right? That seems like a bad idea.
Materials to survive on Earth. And the fact that we come from another place in space would explain why ancient civilizations like the Incas or Egyptians were so advanced and had
racist disbelief of historical achievements. Damn.
extensive knowledge of astronomy. This
People from past can't build pointy building, cause people in the past dumb and me smart, cause me believe aliens build pyramid.
would also explain why we can find depictions of spacecraft in ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs and in Mayan pyramids. But if we don't come from this planet, where do we come from?
We come from this planet. Homo sapiens evolved in Africa. This is, like, evidenced. We know about hominids prior to us, from whence we came. We are not aliens.
Are there other humans in the universe?
How move Big Rock?
The theory of evolution is complete.
Well, that was garbage.
You won't believe why all compasses point north. Don't
Because compasses point both north and south by aligning themselves with the polarity of Earth's magnetic field?
miss the latest revelation.
Oh my
You'll be
god. AI fucking Biden images.
shocked. Forget Everest, because the tallest mountain on Earth is black rock. A black rock made up of magnetic minerals, and its existence is a secret the world must not know.
Nope, it's Earth's magnetic field that's generated by its molten inner core spinning.
Science and media are deliberately concealing it. Why?
You don't get to know about our magnet mountain. It's all ours.
Why? Because if the world...
They just don't want other people sticking their fridge magnets to it.
discovered there's such a massive mountain at the Earth's core...
No one discovered this. There's no discovery because it's not true.
It would change the course of history and shatter the theory that the Earth is a sphere.
The Earth is a sphere.
This mountain is located at the center of the North Pole, and it's also the center of the Earth's magnetic field. It's so tall that its peaks touch the clouds. It's said to measure over 62 miles in height and 40 miles in diameter.
Who says this?
This might explain why compasses point to that location.
They don't. Again, compasses point north and south by aligning themselves with the Earth's magnetic field. It doesn't point to one specific thing. It points both directions.
And the strangest thing is that the world's most powerful corporation, BlackRock, bears the name of this mountain.
Well, that's convenient that it was named in English.
Is it just a coincidence, or was it deliberately chosen by the global elites who
Demon Biden
have orchestrated everything? This question will remain unanswered for a long time.
I don't think I can live with Monster Boy Biden. Rumblum says, everything QAnon says about space and things sound like it comes from the game Receiver. Audio from 304 to 345 is relevant. Let's see.
Your crude world.
304?
You use technology to control physical things. Similarly, there is mind tech, which is used to control the boundless luminescence. Mind tech can be used for good or evil. The threat has been using its mind tech as a weapon against you, and so far has caused widespread sickness and mental weakness. Now that you are in a helpless state, they ready a crippling blow, mind kill. But they are aware that will not work on you. They have another potent weapon they will bring to bear against receivers, called the dreaming. They cannot exist fully in this reality, but they have been watching you and experimenting and have...
I don't even know the game that this is from. I know it said Receiver or something. I've never played it. Indistinguishable from conspiracy babble. True.
3 of the most secure prisons in the world where escape is impossible. The last one will shock you. Number 3, Fuchu Prison. If you attempt to escape from this Japanese prison, you'll face 2 months of solitary confinement as retaliation. Moreover, all chances of escaping are nullified by motion detectors and other security systems. The threat of isolation in a cell discourages inmates from trying to escape, and in case of repeat of...
I have not seen this. I'm going to make a prediction. We need to ponder the orb. I promise I have not seen this, but I think I know enough about conspiracy theories, and this guy's a flat earther, so I'm going to make a prognostication, like Punxsutawney Phil, okay? and I'll be at least half as accurate. Okay. Pondering the orb, pondering the orb. Within the orb I ponder all the swirling mystical energies of the future. I can see the dumbassery that stands before us that we're about to go into head first. I think the third one's gonna be Earth. He's gonna say Earth is a prison. He's gonna say, like, the flat Earth that we know of is a prison, and that outside of it is a bunch of extra land.
Offenses, they end up without a bed at sea. Number 2, Black Dolphin Prison. This Russian prison is widely considered the most dreaded facility in Russia. It houses some of the worst Russian criminals and subjects them to inhumane conditions. Inmates are paired up and must share a tiny cell. Each criminal serves a life sentence there. Number 1, Alcatraz.
Fuck.
This famous prison was situated on an island, earning
the orb failed me.
It the nickname the related from the rest, just under 300 all of America. But there is another prison even worse,
Wait!
surpassing all human reasoning with its cruelty. Do you want a part 2? 3 of the most secure...
Oh, you fucker! You fucker! You fuck! You fuck! He was gonna say Earth, I just know it. It's gonna be a long winter. Ugh. There's no part 2, by the way, so we don't get an answer.
Donald Trump is a time traveler. In the 19th century, 2 books were published by the same author that could be evidence that time travel is possible. The books were titled Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey and 1900, The Last President.
We've covered those conspiracies before.
What if I told you there are no genuine writings or documents attesting that the Egyptians built the pyramids?
I'm just imagining an ancient Egyptian pharaoh hearing that and being like, we kind of thought the fact that we built them in Egypt would have made it self-evident. And we kind of wrote in the pyramids and hieroglyphics all about our history and shit. So we kind of thought you'd get it, but okay. Relevant? Just because white people couldn't do it doesn't mean it was aliens. Wait a minute. Are you telling me something horrifying? White supremacist bullshit. Was Baron Trump named that because of the book? I have no idea. But to be clear, in the book, the person's name is Trump, but their name isn't Baron. Their title is Baron, like a baron, like they're a baron, and their name is Trump. Did a decent bit already about the moon landing thing. I don't know anything about WWE. This video is about flat Earth. We've done a lot of flat Earth today. We should move away from flat Earth.
This is a bird's eye view of Seattle in 1889. The more we look into Seattle, the more questions emerge about what is the true history of this city.
Never trust Seattle. Credit Cuttlefish says, for fuck's sake, there's a graffiti inside the relieving chambers above the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid written in period-correct script by the construction work gangs.
Here is a picture from Pioneer Square in 1900, looking like many other old world cities.
Okay.
This may not look out of place in 1900, but how old are these buildings and who built them? Can
probably not that old.
We believe the mainstream narrative.
The mainstream narrative that these buildings were built contemporarily?
1900s primary source materials for these architects, and their practices are scarce or non-existent. The most important evidence of these
I mean, people don't necessarily know how to build buildings the same way we did in the early 1900s because we don't build buildings today like we did in the 1900s. So there might be certain historians and stuff that cover, like, what were historical, like, craftsman skills, like history of architecture stuff. I have no idea. But, like, we don't build buildings like this because we have faster, easier ways of doing it, but we have buildings that look just like this. You can build a building with, like, bricks and shit. Like, people do that all the time. The methods are just different.
Architects, and others like them are the buildings themselves, and the photographic record of buildings that have disappeared. But these alone are insufficient. The mainstream narrative has been built using contemporary publications, and pre-1900s the vast amount of contemporary publications used are newspapers.
Okay. Newspapers were some of the most widely available things at the time. They were much more, like, there were more copies of newspapers around than, like, books and stuff. Okay? Also, a lot of it was saved on microfiche at some point, so...
Recognize the limitations of local reporting with its hidden biases, and...
Its hidden biases to not tell us that these buildings are secretly thousands of years old.
Self-serving boosterism, which is the act of promoting a town, city, or organization with the goal of improving public perception of it.
I mean, sure. I'm sure that's a thing. But wouldn't it be more impressive if they're like, come see our city, we have buildings that are secretly thousands of years old? Like, that would bring people in. Lying about that would be less impressive.
So according to the narrative, Seattle had a very late start relative to other cities in the region. As late as the mid-1850s, native tribes were living in some 13 villages. The founding of Seattle is dated at 1851. The city was named after Chief Seattle. This is what's presented to us as Seattle's early days.
Okay.
1850s, founding fathers arrived and settlers start showing up. Just a few people with wooden shacks, and these buildings that would not look out of place in any Hollywood Western.
Yeah, because this was a town that was built when they moved to the west. Discordant Vol says competition between cities got brutal. There were wars over changing railroad gauges because trains would have to stop to change gauge.
This is the stereotypical Wild West.
I mean, sure, it's not a movie, but yeah, when people moved out to the west, towns started as little things like this with like a main street and people having their own like homesteads and things. And then over time, they expanded as more people came in and there was more labor and there was more like people able to get resources and bring new skills. So they build homes and businesses. Yeah, cities grow over time. Surprise.
In 1861, the Territorial University was opened. According to Wikipedia, in 1860, Seattle had a population of 188 people. How many of these people were trappers, loggers, fishermen, merchants, and so on?
I mean, probably a decent number, had a variety of different skills.
With a population of 188, how much demand was there for a university, I wonder?
Probably pretty high if you want to bring people to your town. If you want to bring people to your brand new city, then you could say, hey, come to our city, we're growing, we built a university. Are you a teacher? Do you want to come teach at our university? And then when people have kids here, they can grow up and actually learn things? It's almost like they built a town with the intent of it growing. Wow! Dumbass. Ferris Heck says, if he doesn't bring up the toilet problem, I'll be so sad. I don't know anything about the toilet problem.
With that being said, this building still fits the narrative. It's a nice building, but it's made of wood.
Okay. In America, a lot of buildings are made of wood. It was a pretty abundant resource. I mean, it still is, you know, but...
These huge columns could also be made of wood.
I mean, maybe? I don't know. Does it matter?
Early Seattle had an abundance of wood, and one of the main industries in its early days was lumber.
Yep.
But I'm looking
Hydrate.
At the scale of this building and wondering, was this really called for in 1860 with such a small population?
It's not that big of a building! Like, I'm trying to think. This is 2 floors. based on the size of the door, like, my high school is far bigger than this. Like, this isn't, like, a huge building. Like, I'm not even... I feel bad almost, because it feels like I'm shitting on this community's, like, nice building they built in their new community. They're all dead. They won't feel bad. It's fine, I guess. Like, it's a nice building for the fact that they went out there and were like, hey, this is a new town, and we want to bring people here, so let's build things. Imagine living in a society where people, like, want to improve the lives of people around them and, you know, make the place they live appealing for others and themselves. Anyway, they did that, and this guy's just like, this is impossible. It really isn't. It's a nice building, but it's not the biggest building ever. It's fine.
Why?
It's small. Let me put it this way. It is smaller than my elementary school. Okay? And my elementary school, in my class, had 12 students. Of course, there were other, you know, classes, but the class size in that school was quite small. So a modern school is bigger than this. Jamie says, fun fact, this is actually the University of Washington. Obviously, they relocated a bit. They still own the land downtown where this building stood. Oh, that's cool. Ashy Boo says, if you've spent any time in Seattle, it's obvious that it started as a teeny town and was never meant to be as big as it is today. Everything is cramped and buildings are squished and squeezed and wherever they fit. The streets make no sense. It really lines up with the known history of Seattle, which is starting as a small port city specializing in trading fish, pelts, and wood, and then it hit a boom and everything started being built more and more only for later booms to happen. Did I grow up in a farm town? I did. But I actually didn't go to that school. Initially in elementary school, I went to a private, like a fundamentalist Baptist school. Few students. I later went to public school, thankfully.
So big, and why such tall ceilings?
That's one thing I've never really talked about. I mean, I've talked about going to that school, but, like, it's hilarious to me when right-wing people are upset and saying, like, oh, public schools are brainwashing children. Bitch, I've seen your private religious schools. You're brainwashing children. Also, that school, the pastor, because it was both a church and a school, the pastor, it was an open secret that he had preyed on minors in this fucking school. Got a 14-year-old pregnant. Paid her parents to move her out of town. These are the kind of institutions that Republicans want you to send your children instead of public school.
Ceilings, which must be at least 15 feet, judging by the size of this guy with the bicycle.
Again, like, it's a nice building, but, like, it's certainly doable.
This is what we are shown for Seattle's downtown at around 1870.
It looks a lot like, what's the town at the end of the first Red Dead game? Oh gosh. Whatever it is, this looks like that town.
With a population of around 1,100.
JP Black says, tall ceilings were the norm before AC. All the warm air would rise and help keep the livable space cooler. That makes a lot of sense. Jamie says they actually had to tear down hills because the land was not that conducive for development, especially as a port city. No, not Armadillo. Armadillo's like the first city you go to. I'm talking about the last one.
Again, this is what...
In Red Dead 1, not 2. Blackwater, thank you. It looks like Blackwater.
What we would expect. Here we have a photo of what is now First Avenue in 1870. Which is
actually funny, too, because that game takes place in, like, the 1890s, I want to say. Either the 1890s or, like, the early 1900s, like 1902. Maybe as late as, like, 1905, but I don't remember the exact year. And 1911? Thank you. The town Blackwater looks exactly like this, where it's, like, you know, very Western looking, but then there's, like, a town hall and a bank that are, like, clearly built more recently and built out of nicer material. Looks more like a permanent structure. So it's like, yeah, this kind of thing existed. People would move to these areas, settlers build basic stuff, you know, that was just livable, And then towns expanded, and government buildings were built, and universities were built, and other things with better materials. It's like these people have never played any kind of, like, game with progress. Like, if you've played any game where you're, like, city building or anything, you know that, like, there's sort of a feedback loop where if you get more people and resources, those people will help you garner even more people and resources, which will get you labor and skills and materials that you can then use to continually improve. Like, I understand these are video games, but it is reflective of a very real thing, and that is progress is exponential, or at least can be exponential, because the more you do to build the town, the easier it is to build more because you have more at your disposal in terms of labor and materials and money, capital.
8. Again, what we would expect. Then we have this. Providence Hospital dated 1878. Around 3,000 people living in the city. This must hold a lot of patients and a...
I mean, let me count the number of rooms that I can guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Let's double that. 58, 59. So it looks like maybe this has, like, enough space for, like, I don't know, 90 people? 90 patients, let's say. And, like, that's a guesstimate. That's a complete guesstimate. Could be wrong. But let's even say it's double that. Let's say it's 200. In a population of 3,000 people, you're right. I'm thinking too modern. These are hospital wards, not hospital rooms. So let's say that we could even fit 250 people in here. Whatever. If the town's of 3,000 people, I don't think that's that unreasonable, especially when this is a time where, like, communicable diseases, we didn't have vaccines in order to fight them, at least not as many as we have today. I don't remember when the first cowpox vaccine officially became a thing. But certainly, you know, tons of communicable diseases were about, and if there was a widespread issue that broke out in your city, you're gonna need the hospital space. Also, people just getting injured, right? This is a new city where I'm assuming people are regularly doing hard physical labor, and there's a lot of construction going on. So how often are people getting injured while working, or injured falling off a horse, or whatever accidents people are having? If the town is 3,000 people, I'm just saying, like, it's not outlandish to be like, yep, this makes sense. I don't see how you would think that this is unreasonable, considering that 3,000 people.
A lot of resources and time to construct this.
It's almost like hospitals are important infrastructure for a city.
Seattle has a railroad at this time, but it was not connected to national...
That's actually a good point, too. Yep. Cities provided for surrounding rural areas and farms because there was nowhere else to go, so people would have to ride into town.
Railroad system. Material must have either been brought in by sea or over land with horse.
I mean, they were a port. Like, they're it's called Portland. It's Portland. It's Portland. It's the land of fucking ports. But also, you know, they were able to gather resources themselves. Logging, as you said, was a major industry. So...
Horse and buggy.
Yes! Horse and buggy were used to transport goods. Did you know that? Did you know that that is how that worked?
Here another...
It's actually funny. Here in Michigan, pretty famously, in Saginaw, where I used to live, there's a river there where logging was huge in Michigan, to the point where we actually... Michigan kind of fucked itself for a while. We basically clear-cut a bunch of forests, especially in the UP. Don't worry. They're replanted. But, like, anyway, we really fucking deforested shit for a while. Anyway, logging in Michigan, I know, involved, at least in the area I was from, logs were sent down the river because the river was an easy way to do that. And to see pictures of it is actually kind of wild. They, of course, don't do this anymore, rather. Let me type river. This is a pretty decent image to show, I guess. Saginaw. River logging. That might help. There we go. Let me pull this out and show you. This is actually a picture. Why is it not loading here? That's a terrible website. Apologies. There it is. So here's an image during winter. This is literally all these logs were placed here. This is on a frozen river, so that when the ice thaws, they'll already be in the water and they'll be sent down the river. And further down the river, they'll be like processed or whatever. So like, that's lucky in that they had a river in order to like move stuff. But of course, there were times that once it was done doing the river stuff, they had to move it other ways. And yes, that's going to include horses and buggies. Weird that he said it derisively, as if horses and buggies weren't helpful. I understand they're not as helpful as a car, but they didn't have cars. Human beings do things that are difficult when we have to. Maybe not always on the individual level, but as a species, so far, a lot of us do things.
Their view from a few years later. And this shows up. This is Central High School, 1884. So here we are in 1879, looking like what we would expect for a developing town whose primary resource is timber. Not so much this, but this.
You're literally showing A, two different locations, and B, yes, over years the towns grew, we know this.
It's like two different built realities are
Wow, it's almost like towns change over time.
Starting to emerge. Now different sources have different dates on some of these images, but I'm doing the best I can to get the correct dates. Here we have Seattle in the 1880s. And then this, said to have been built in 1881. This is a beautiful building, and it's made of stone, with ornate detail, and curiously enough, this interesting underground level.
A basement? Do you not know the word basement? Even that looks like that's a half basement. When you have windows sticking up like that, that can be a half basement. Not always, but...
Which some might say is an odd way to build in a city that rains 6 months out of the year.
Do you think that places where it rains, people don't have basements? I live in Michigan. We have basements. It rains often enough.
Then we have this building, attributed to 1882.
Mud flood on the bingo card.
This building was in Pioneer Square. Again, in 1882, they may have had a population of 5,000. And if you think half of those are men of working age, and out of them, how many are lumberjacks, fishermen, merchants, and so on? And then out of those that are left, how many are master masons? I understand there was master craftsmen at this time, but you need to have enough of them, and you need to have the resources.
Yes, and clearly they did. Not all the buildings look like this, but whatever this building is, clearly they wanted to put time and money into making it look like this, so they did. You can bring in people from out of town to do a job if you have the money. Jamie says those underground levels were very common before the big fire. I don't remember why, but I think it was because of the elevation stuff?
And the time. This is ornate specialist craftsmanship. And it's not just this building. We can look down the street and see more. These are all stone and brick. And
you absolutely cannot tell that they're definitely stone and brick with this image. Like, I can see facade stuff that probably is, but I absolutely do not know how much of these buildings are stone. And even if they are all stone, cool? Cool beans. Ashy Boo says there used to be so many giant salmon in Seattle you could walk on water by simply stepping on their backs. Now no salmon get that big anymore, and there aren't nearly as many. It used to be all forest, and well, a lot still is. It's not even close to how it used to be. We also destroyed the beaver population. Also, there's a lot of basements in Seattle. I don't know what he's talking about. And Ferris Heck says the streets were raised because tide kept pushing back all the sewage into houses. That's not fun. That's not where you want your sewage.
Ornate. Here is another view. You can really see the detail.
Again, it's nice. We build buildings like this today still, just not as often. Because again, there's economic consideration.
The detail on this building is exquisite. And what is this roof made out of? It
I don't know. I don't know what they made their fucking roof out of.
looks like metal.
Okay.
Just
And?
Magnificent architecture. According to the narrative, this building existed for only 7 years. It was destroyed in the 1889 fire.
Okay, I don't think they built the building thinking it was only going to last 7 years, sir. I didn't think they built it and went, well, we have 7 years until the big fire. And one of them goes, the what? And they said, never mind. And they walked away into a police box.
This was taken in 1882. Here we can see the building from the previous photo. Here we have yet more ornate stone buildings. So it's not just streets, but blocks of this architecture.
I'm gonna say vibes-based conspiracy for this one. He seems to just be like, look at these buildings. Yep, they're buildings. Misunderstanding of architecture on the bingo card, too.
Architecture. How many master masons and architects did they have in a population so small?
It was a pretty big thing back in the day. If you need a bunch of people to come help build a new city, you're probably going to incentivize them to either move permanently or temporarily to come help build the town with money, because that's how that works. You pay people for goods and services, and then they do them. So if there is work available, people will go to it if they are capable. Ashy Boo says, fun fact, in regional Washington American Sign Language, the sign for Seattle is the sign for bathroom, but an S instead of a T for toilet because Seattle had a real nasty sewer problem. That's actually pretty funny.
This building also disappeared in the Great Fire of 1889. This beautiful mansion was the home of one of the founding fathers of Seattle. After his death, the building went on to become the Seattle Public Library.
That's nice.
And then, wouldn't you know it, this building went up in smoke and was gone by 1900.
Yeah, giant fires that consume the whole city will do that.
This glorious building is the county courthouse. These kind of buildings just keep showing up, fully completed.
It's almost like those buildings are common in that day and age, and they're not abnormal at all.
No construction photos of any of these stone buildings. This is the Occidental Hotel 1884. Just more amazing architecture. And here again a lower level halfway into the street. On a downslope in Seattle. What kind of drainage have they engineered to keep the relentless Seattle rain from flooding this basement level? Listen, 1888. Brick and stone ornate buildings. Beautiful. And yes, there are wood buildings as we see in the background.
Uh-huh. It's almost like they had both, because the earlier ones were built earlier, and then later they had more resources and money and laborers to build more complicated things.
But there seems to be a huge disconnect. Could it be that beautiful?
There's a disconnect between the neurons in your head meat.
Stone ornate buildings were already there. And a bunch of settlers showed up and started building wooden shacks.
They did. And then over years, more people came and also built other things.
Again in 1888, a 7-story building. Look at the size of this person. Look at the size of these stones making up this archway.
Okay.
Extremely ornate and time-consuming work. Not to mention the skills needed. A Methodist church said to be built in 1889, the year of the Great Fire. Looking like a miniature cathedral.
It's a church. Stone Corbell says, listening to this extremely serious, intense AI voice say exquisite and beautiful is surreal and hilarious.
Building did escape the Great Fire, but it was still razed to the ground around 1907. Here we see some signs of potential construction, but it's more what we expect. Timber. I have a hard time believing that this building was only just built when this photo was taken. To me, this looks like old world architecture.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but I don't know if you know this. Some buildings in the United States are made of wood, but then they have bricks on the outside. Do you know that? I'm not saying that's necessarily what's happening here, but it's just even funnier to me when, like, houses can be built of multiple materials and often are in the United States. Jamie says, what's even this person's point? At this point, they're just stating things that happen in Seattle over time with the occasional, haha, I doubt that basic fact. I am very smart for doing so. He believes that these buildings are secretly thousands and thousands of years old and were not built by people from Seattle, but were actually built by an ancient civilization of Tartarians.
Seattle Central High School, 1889. Breathtaking. This building made it to the 1950s before being demolished. Is this a bell tower, I wonder?
Probably. Looks like it's got a clock on it.
And are these antiquity-tech antennas?
No, those are probably lightning rods and or decorative pieces of the architecture.
I'm not saying they didn't have the skill at this time.
Seems like you are. Otherwise, why are you wasting my time?
But did they have the resources?
Yes.
And the time?
Yes.
With such a small population?
Yes.
These have just been a few examples of the seemingly out-of-place buildings.
They're not out of place.
Buildings of such skilled architecture with ornate decorations, supposedly being built in ridiculously short time periods. At the same time as people were living in wooden shacks and building Western-style wooden towns.
This would be like looking at a governmental, like a state house, or a corporate built glass skyscraper and comparing it to a newly built, relatively low budget single family home. And being like, how do these two things exist at once? They're built for different purposes and with different budget concerns. So they use different materials as well as different ways of building them. Because a family home doesn't need to be as ornate as like a state building, or like if you want to build a nice main street and bring people to your town because of its beauty. That's what those buildings are for.
The narrative says that in 1889, an accidentally overturned glue pot in a carpentry shop started the most destructive fire in the history of Seattle.
Yeah, a lot of things were fucking flammable.
The blaze only lasted one day, but apparently...
Can you believe that this fire only lasted 24 hours? Yeah, a fire that goes for 24 hours is actually real bad. I don't know if you know this, but you let a town on fire for a whole day. Not good.
Apparently, it had burned 25 city blocks. What is perhaps even more unbelievable is the speed at which...
How is that unbelievable? Historically, large fires in cities happened. The Great Chicago Fire, there were New York fires. Like, this happened all over the place, in part because people were using oil lamps all the fucking time. Like, this shit was everywhere, so there was just... Imagine if in your house you just had accelerants sitting all over the fucking place. Also, flammable. Very flammable. Very, very, very flammable. Everything's very fucking flammable. Anyway. They hadn't developed the miracle of asbestos yet.
Supposedly new old world architectural buildings sprung up. Of course, the vast amount of these new old buildings were subsequently demolished or destroyed.
Wow, it's almost like buildings that are built like 100 years ago. Sometimes you build new buildings where those buildings were. Crazy.
And accidentally on purpose fires. Of course, all this is just opinion, as I can't be sure, but things don't seem to add up. And I am not the only one who thinks so.
There are other dumb, crazy people too, so I'm vindicated. Dread Pirate Mix says, how did a city built mostly of wood burn down so quickly? It's a mystery.
I hope you have been entertained, and I'll see.
Boy, I sure do hope no one uses this fire in order to unjustly frame the Irish community.
See you in the next video, where I will continue to question everything.
Oh, fuck off.
Initiate your eyes.
For those who don't know the reference I was making, you know the whole Mrs. O'Leary's cow thing? Like, oh, Mrs. O'Leary's cow kicked over a lamp and it started the fire. That was literally a piece of anti-Irish propaganda that was published and spread, and it was never true. Just so you know, if you've ever heard that. That's an old racist anti-Irish propaganda thing. Didn't really happen.
Hey you guys, you're watching Eyes to See. This video is strange, you guys. This is a video I took last week, August of 2023. See that triangle right there? Those three lights in a triangle? Well, I'm not an astrologer, so I checked and it's not a constellation. I mean, I pretty much knew I wasn't mistaken on that one. I've been living under this starry canopy for a few decades now. I would have known if we had an equilateral triangle for a constellation, you guys.
Sir, were any of them planets? Because you can see some planets sometime and they look like stars. To the naked eye, at least.
We don't. So what the heck is this thing? Check it out. Check out how it's flickering in and out.
First of all, some of that's probably your camera, but stars twinkling is a result of atmospheric interference. They're not actually doing that. The light is just getting wavy and twinkly because it's passing through the atmosphere. Derp says, sir, this is a Wendy's.
Guys, it's not supposed to be visible. And what you're seeing, all this distortion in the video, is something's attempt at trying to hide it from us.
Fake sky on the bingo card.
To the naked eye, the sky looks completely normal.
Yep, that's your camera. Your camera isn't designed to film dark sky. Like, cameras require light, right? If you make... I'll give you an example. Let's do something real quick. I'll show you something. I'm sure most of you know this. But let's do it. So, this room probably looks relatively normal to you because you're seeing it through a camera. The lighting probably looks normal. It's not. In person, it's weird. It's lit for the camera, not for real life. Because if you lit for real life, sometimes it's hard to actually, like, film what you want because you need a lot of light to produce quality images. So let me turn off my studio light that you guys don't know exists necessarily. So now, this is just what the lighting in the room looks like naturally. Looks weird, right? Looks bad. Looks worse. Ugh. Because I'm not lighting for camera, I'm lighting just because I'm in the room. Now let's turn this light off. See how weird and grainy it got suddenly? That's because the camera's light sensors are having trouble detecting things, so it's causing a lot of noise in the signal. So when you have lower lighting, things pop in and out, and it gets even worse if you up the gain. Hold on, let me I'll turn the gain up to show you. Which one is it? Is this one? Okay. Configure video. So you can artificially boost the signal with the gain. Sorry, that's not what this is. This is moving a white window around my screen, and it's illuminating my face. Sorry. Anyway, let me do the actual thing. Anyway, so if you turn up the gain, this is what happens. It's even noisier. Might be hard to see, but it's even noisier because it's trying to, again, decipher things with not enough information. The light is literally the information, so without the light, it can't really make a nice image. Anyway, let's turn all this stuff back on. Woo! Orangey. I'm probably gonna have to turn that gain way down. Let me fix that real quick. Cool. Back at it.
That's why you've never noticed this before. It's only when you begin filming the sky that you notice these strange things going on in the sky. It's not even every night either. So that makes it even more tricky to try to capture this yourself. I've had some pretty incredible luck capturing these strange events in the sky.
It's not luck, you just don't understand how your camera works.
And this video is yet another. Let me show you what's going on. I'm going to mess with some of the brightness and the contrast so we can see more clearly the distortion. Look at that. That's not normal. How are they doing this? I don't know. But as I'm standing there filming this, I can't see any of this with my eyes. But looking...
Does that tell you anything? Do you think maybe your tools are the problem?
Looking at my camera as I'm filming, I can see all of this distortion on my screen. And it's an eerie feeling. Like looking around with my eyes, I can see everything looks normal. But when I look down at my phone at what I'm filming, it's all distorted like this.
Yeah, it's the camera. Is this whole thing just camera shit?
This stuff.
Yeah.
Guys, this is not a filter. This is raw video.
I don't even... let me go back to the beginning.
Look at that tree. Guys, this is not a filter. This is...
What about the tree?
Raw video.
I don't understand. What am I supposed to be looking at the tree? He thinks the evidence is self-evident, but it's not. What am I supposed to be looking at with the tree? Does this again have to do with the fact that there's not enough light for the sensors to, in detail, pick apart the individual leaves? Because I also don't know, like, what this camera films at in the first place in terms of resolution. But, like... It's dark? Yeah. Yep. It's probably having trouble being real specific about things because there's not light.
So I'm starting to think, where does this illusion or this projection that I'm seeing on my camera, where does it end? I can see it with my naked eye and it looks just fine. But on my camera screen, as I film it, I see this. It's pixelating. It's distorting.
Again, yes, this is noise that comes about because of the camera.
Am I pixelating too?
It's literally the camera image. Ugh.
Let's see. So I begin filming my hand, my arm.
Yep. Same thing.
Yeah, that doesn't look right at all. This is so strange. I'm feeling really weird at this point. Guys, I thought I had a grasp on what's going on. I mean, I thought they were projecting a fake sky somewhere.
Oh, this is so fucking depressing. Holy shit. It's almost like adult services should be more available for people who are clearly ill. That's not good.
How? Check out my other videos. I have documented...
This is the same guy that thinks he keeps finding gold, by the way, but he's really just finding fool's gold.
This strangeness in the sky for a while now. But this is me. I'm seeing myself, my own skin become distorted by whatever they're doing. How is this possible? When I was done filming, I went inside and I watched the video, and for the first time I realized This is more than a visual event. This is something far stranger.
It's interesting to me because even before I knew specifically, like, I've watched enough movies in my life, and I assume you guys have too, especially if you watch, like, certain movies, there are scenes in the dark sometimes where there's that, like, noise. Old movies on film kind of do this too. There's a bit of a, you know, and I'm not just talking about, like, the film grain. Obviously film grain's a thing, but, like, I'm sure you've seen this in videos before, or movies, or TV shows, or something. How is it not intuitive that, like, that's what's happening? Scary. Poor guy. Hope he gets some help. He really needs it.
Have you ever thought to yourself that
I should watch Monument Mythos on YouTube? Okay, let me look. Monument Mythos. This? Oh god. What is it? Why? This? Why? What? What the fuck are you having me watch? Why? Oh, it's an ARG. Eh. Eh. Happy for her. One more video and we'll call it a night. How long is this one? 8 minutes? That's kind of funny.
That it's not the year 2023? Have you ever thought to yourself that it's not the year 2023?
I mean, what do you mean by that? The Gregorian calendar, it is 2023. Kind of depends on the calendar. Years are arbitrary.
The evidence is pretty overwhelming. Check out this picture of Greta from the 1800s that was unearthed in a library.
No, that's not how anything works.
The picture is authentic and there's no
I said it. He said it, so it's true.
mistaking the resemblance. Is it a clone that has traveled through time?
Clones and time travel?
We have other time travelers caught on video using cell phones
No, they're not.
in the early 1900s. What?
It was this video has been covered before. It's like a hearing device or something they're using.
What's going on?
I don't remember the specific thing.
What year is it?
But here's the fun thing about cell phones. I don't know if you know this, but if you know how cell phones work, even if you could time travel, you can go back in time with a cell phone. Hope you brought a network of cell phone towers with you, though. Because otherwise they're not gonna work. Bumble Homestead says, oh my god, person, look like other person? How? Ooh, almost a hype train.
Is it the Matrix? Is it
Matrix on the bingo card. Catalina Gearbox with 100 bits says that video you saw was the wrong one. Yeah, I still don't know what the fuck it's about. I don't have the mental energy to go and do a fucking ARG. Where did that video go? There it is.
Is it the Mandela effect?
That's not a real thing.
Is there something else going on? We're going to be looking at this from the perspective of the Bible. What does the Bible tell us about
Ancient wisdom on the bingo card?
what's really going on?
That one's not even close. Even in terms of this bullshit, that's not even close. Also, I don't think there's any evidence that the guy on the left picks up men at the gym.
We think it's the year 2023. We think it's the...
It literally is, because that's what we collectively decide it is on the calendar we use. So yes.
the year 5000.
What does that even mean? What do you think that means?
And something, according to Scripture, depending on which calendar you use. But if we look at the timeline in the New Testament, Matthew, Mark...
By timeline, what he means is literally if you go through the Bible and say, like, oh, before Jesus, which we know the approximate time that Jesus is supposed to have existed, and they go, okay, Jesus's genealogy, how many years did Jesus's mother live? How many, or his mother's mother, blah, 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 and it goes back in time with the genealogy and just adds it up, and that's where creationists get their 6,000-year young Earth. It is just that dumb. They literally just count numbers of different genealogy shit in the Bible from Adam to fucking Jesus.
Luke and John, we see that there's a major discrepancy in the timeline. It's so obvious you just can't overlook it. Many people call it a contradiction. Others call it the asynoptic gospel.
Unstable Deadbeat with 100 bits says, hey Hannah, just wanted to say thanks for all the great streams. Been a fan since Bible Reloaded days, but never used to watch the stream live, just on YouTube. I've been struggling the last month or so with some mental health things, and your streams have really helped when I needed something to take my mind off my problems. I'm glad. I know that struggling with mental health stuff is never easy, but it does help to have stuff to distract you or entertain you. There was a time in my life when I was struggling a lot in high school, and I had a lot of Minecraft ideation. The kind of Minecraft ideation that if you told a therapist you'd get locked up for 72 hours. You know what I mean? Anyway, I was feeling like shit, because I had all sorts of stuff going on, including, you know, being in the closet, my gender dysphoria, as well as all sorts of other things going on. Sometimes it's the little things that make you feel better. That's around the time I found Cracked.com, and this was when Cracked.com was good. This is when it had, like, the really good people who used to write for them, like Maggie Mae Fish and, oh gosh, Cody Bryant, I want to say his name is, the guy from Some More News, Soren, like a lot of other people who were writers on the site at that time. And that helped me a lot. I don't know why. Just reading their articles, I liked it. Cody Johnston, thank you. That's his name. Johnston. Cody Johnston. 15% to level 1 in a hype train.
What does that mean exactly? The gospel according to John, in that timeline, Jesus flips over the tables at the temple right away. In Matthew...
Oh, you're talking about the fact that there are inconsistencies in the Bible. Yeah, that's because it's stories that were oral traditions told and sent, you know, down over decades, and then it wasn't until like 70 to 80 years after the alleged death of Jesus that it was first written down. So the accounts differ between the Gospels. That's like a known thing. Tweakle says, for a second I thought you were gonna stop at crack. 20% to level 1.
Mark and Luke.
Crack probably would not have helped.
Luke. It happens just before the crucifixion. This is a major contradiction, but perhaps scripture...
Maybe the Bible isn't 100% accurate. Maybe it's a religious text that has changed a lot over the years and has been edited. And the reason that there's inconsistencies is because it's basically a telephone game. So there are different versions of the stories.
Scripture is trying to tell us something completely different. Perhaps Scripture is trying to tell us that there are multiple timelines.
I don't think that that's what the Bible is trying to tell you, just to be honest.
It's so blatant, so obvious, people run away
Yeah, Matrix on bingo.
from the question. Why is the timeline different?
Because the Bible isn't a... Someone else already said documentary. The Bible isn't a documentary. It's a book. It's a religious scripture. You have every right to think whatever you want about it, but the honest answer is because it's not a documentary and it's not infallible and it's not magic, it's just a thing people wrote.
Given that people think it's a contradiction, they don't think
It is a contradiction. You're actively trying to avoid the reality that it is.
about it. But we're meant to think about it. It's so obvious you can't not think about it. And so what is the implication? What does that mean if there are multiple timelines? It means that we've all been here before. That perhaps this isn't the original Earth. It could be that we're way into the future.
What does that even mean? What do you mean it's way into the future?
Maybe it's not the Matrix. Maybe it's more like Westworld and they're harvesting people for cybernetic purposes.
That's not how Westworld worked at all. That's not what happened in Westworld. Have you seen Westworld?
Are we all clones? Are we all replicants?
No, we're human beings.
We don't really know. But there's something terribly wrong with the world.
Vibes-based conspiracy.
And the deeper you go down this rabbit hole, the worse it gets. But
no kidding. Alright. I think I'm done. We've been going for like 3.5 hours. Okie dokie. So let's see. Who we gonna raid? Love you too, Mr. Blast. Here's a channel that broadcasts other conspiracy people. Hydrate, can do. Alright, have a good night, everyone. See you guys later. Yeah, that's it. I don't have anything else. I'm so excited for Starfield. That's all I have to say. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.